What is up, everybody? Good to see you all back in the chat again. Hello, Marcus. Yeah, I got freebies, and I like your rapping, man. I like the songs. Great choices this week. Awesome. Hey, Mr. Red Jack, thank you so much, not only for showing up, but for doing all you do. Appreciate it. Rick, good to see you, bud. Mr. Easy Go Lucky, Unruly, peace. All right. So, guys, thank you so much again. Just want to say how much I appreciate everybody who came by last week for my first solo broadcast. Hope you guys all enjoyed it. From the feedback that I got, it was all pretty positive. I'm pretty happy with the amount of views I got. It seems pretty good. So there's not much else to say other than, again, thank you to everybody who who came by, and especially to those of you as well who saw on rewind and couldn't make it live. Really appreciate that. Marcus, you know what? And this is good. I'm glad you asked. I decided to go without it because you guys were razzing me all about it last week, and I thought I'd go without it and just ask you guys in the chat, to anybody in the chat who wants to post a comment, give me your preference. Just say cap background, or just say cap or no background. That's it. Just to have an idea for future shows or whatever. And that's it, okay? You missed the cap gaps. Funny. All right. So, guys, without further ado, I'm really happy to say that my buddy Steve Yarish is back in the studio with me. So, with that, let me bring him into the studio.
How's it going, Rubén?
Hey, it's going good, Steve. How's it going, man?
Not too bad. Glad to be here.
Good to see you. I'm glad to have you back. Everybody, I'd like to say that Dave is here. He is currently not here at the moment, but has said that he is working really hard to get here, and will try to get here as soon as he can. But I am not going to make you guys wait, obviously. So we are going to continue with the show. Just go on with the show, and we'll see when Dave arrives. Whenever he can, we'll get him on. But before we start, I just want to take a couple of minutes, if you will indulge me, about the slide I just put up just before you saw me come on screen. Just wanted to say how sad I was to hear about Tim Sale's passing. I can't say Tim and I were friends. That's definitely not the right way to put it. But I just want to say a couple of words about him. Many years ago, I was on Facebook. I'm still there. I just don't use it much, but I was on Facebook. And back then I used to go by the name Illustration Art. And I only used my Facebook profile to further the appreciation and love of vintage illustration from the 30s to the 60s. And it's a type of art that I also collect, as some people know. And as it turns out, along the way, as I posted that type of art over the years, many comic book artists, I guess, encountered the posts. And there's the JJ. Sounds good, Dave. Many comic book artists would send me friend requests. And then I assumed it was because they also have a love and appreciation for that type of vintage illustration. And as I said, so Tim was one of them. Of course, I accepted the request. And then for the next few years, we wouldn't talk often, but he would always like my posts, sometimes comment on them. And we would have, brief little back and forths on old vintage art. And he was just the sweetest man. It was just nice to be able to talk to another artist who understood what I loved about that type of art. And speak on that same level without any sort of feeling that, he's expecting me to fanboy out and talk to him because, he's Tim Sale, the comic book artist, And so, and that's how it went for a few years. And then every now and then we'd just say hello, not, a few words back and forth. Just like I said, not a friendship, but when we did interact a little bit back and forth on Facebook, it just, he made me feel, the sense I got from him was that he was just a sweet, sweet man, and that he made me feel like we were better friends than we actually were, even though we weren't. So he was a terrific artist, and by all accounts, a terrific human being. And I just wanted to give him his proper respects by doing this and saying that.
I saw him at Heroes, and he was at Heroes a number of times, and he always had time for fans just to talk and say hi and talk art, talk baseball, whatever. He was just the nicest guy. And I mean, you could just sit there and watch him work. Like, you'd see him take his ink pen, dip it in ink, dip it in water, and just flick it on the paper, and you'd go, what the hell did he just do? He ruined it. Right. And he'd sit there and just move the ink around, the wet ink, just move it around, and you're like, pow, all of a sudden it's art. I mean,
right.
I don't know how he did it or how he would know how much water for the ink or anything, but he just knew exactly how to move it around with the paper, because all paper is different and how it takes the ink.
Yeah, for sure.
He could feel it out, and it was amazing. He was an artist and such a nice guy.
Yeah. Always great to watch any artists, right? But the real sort of top shelf ones, when it's like magic when you watch them work, you know?
Yeah.
And who knows, maybe the Jade Joint himself might have a few words if he wants to say. He has just come into the studio, so let's just bring him in.
Yay.
What up, Jade?
Can you guys hear me?
Yep.
We can.
Sorry, I'm
so
late.
Glad to have you. Glad you can make it. And thank you so much for making such a crazy effort to be here, man.
Thanks for having me. Sorry I was late.
No.
But yep.
A pleasure. Everything okay on your end there?
Oh, yeah, everything's good. Just had a schedule, had a Father's Day, a lot going on, so
okay.
Had to get it all in, so it was
good. Perfect timing also for Steve and I then to say, by the way, to everybody in the audience, to everybody who's a father, happy Father's Day. I hope you guys all had a great day today, and hope you did some fun stuff and ate good food.
I definitely did. Grilled some burgers and some corn on the cob and some baked potatoes. Good food.
Good stuff. What we got here? He's been at cons before he made it big, but amazing that he just kept that. Oh yeah, for sure, man. For sure. You know what, Marcus? The thing is that I find interesting about Tim is that whenever I've had conversations with friends of mine who are obviously comic book fans about him, you know, we talk about like, yeah, well, how old is Tim anyways, right? And like in recent months, we had that conversation, and I was like, yeah, I'm not sure. I don't know. He looks like he might be late 50s, something like that, you know, but he might be 60 already or early 60s, you know. And my friend was like, no, there's no way. Come on, he's got to be only a few years older than you. And I'm like, no, he's. I said, a lot of people don't know this because he got big in the 90s. You know what, 94, some thereabouts, right? But I remember seeing his name in the credits back around in DC Comics in, I want to say 1985. And I don't like a lot of people when I say that to people, they don't really know. They're like, "What? Really?" You know. So I think he broke in early, might have left the business, went to do other sort of forms of illustration maybe, and then came back. But either way, he was a great talent, and he's for sure going to be missed.
Yeah, I always thought he was younger than he was too. He certainly looked a lot younger than he was, and he acted, you know, a lot younger. I have one good experience with him at a show at Heroes.
Yeah.
I posted about it, you know, with his recent passing, but I'd been chasing him for years and finally was able to catch him at a show, and I kind of proposed to him, you know, because what I wanted was more than he was doing at the show. So I proposed if he would give me 2 slots, if he didn't fill up, to do his, I think they were called Fast Pass or something, and he agreed, and so did a little bit bigger piece than normal. And it was fun. I caught some of it on video. He was just great to interact with. He was always good, always made time for people. And I talked to him about baseball, Ken Griffey Jr. mainly because he was a Mariners fan. I'm a Reds fan. So we talked for a while about that, but he was just always willing to talk to the fans and make time. It never felt like he was being put out. It seemed like he was genuine and enjoyed it. So I was really sad to hear about his passing. That was a shocker.
Yeah. I mean, and I guess that, you know, it's always sad, but I don't know, somehow when it sort of takes you by surprise, it's it hits you in a way harder, if that's the right way to put it. I saw on Facebook that one of my friends posted, "Oh, he's in the hospital." I was like, I don't know. In serious condition. And I was like, oh, geez, I hope it's not another, one of these COVID cases or whatever. As far as I know, again, I didn't know him well, but I thought he was healthy, but maybe not. I don't know. They've since reported it was kidney failure. But just, I think it was 2 days after they reported that he was in the hospital, suddenly they reported that he had passed. That was shocking. I was like, oh my God, like that's fast, man. Like, wow. So yeah, I don't know if it was anything related to, health issues he had always had or for a long time. I don't know, but just very sad. But let's pick up the feelings here a little bit, and I guess get on with the show. Guys, just for you guys watching, just to let you know that for the draw to do the art giveaway, there are actually 2 art giveaways. So I'm going to have the first one. It's actually my buddy Nick Barucci, who's going to come on for a little bit, maybe halfway through the show or so. And he's going to give away a page of Hulk art.
Are we eligible for this, Ruben? We didn't talk about this yet, so I have to ask.
You are definitely not eligible.
Okay.
I stuffed the ballot already, Dave. Don't worry.
All right.
Yeah, and then at the end of the show, we will do another draw where I will give away a page of my own, also of the Incredible Hulk. All right, so everybody ready? You guys want to get into it?
Oh, for sure.
Let's do it.
All right,
see some art.
Do it. Let's see the first one. For this one, we are heading into the what I again call the modern era.
Oh,
great
nice.
artist.
Nice.
Now, this, I want to say I've owned twice. Owned it way back when, during the time that I was collecting all this Hulk art. And then after, selling it off with the rest of the collection, several years ago, I picked it up again at auction. But a few years after that, since it still wasn't really, not really going with my collection, and a close friend of mine, actually the current owner who you see there, he really loved it. And so I was like, you know what, whatever, fine, I'll let you have it. And
did you target Dan Green? Did you target Dan Green?
There.
Yeah.
Sorry, did I target Dan Green?
Seems like you had a lot of posts with him in it last week. And
oh, really?
Maybe I'm misremembering, but it seemed like there was some Dan Green art.
I think you've got Ron Garney there, and it's really JR.
No, I mean, no, I can't say, honestly, I can't even say I've ever reached out to him or even tried to reach out to him, to be honest. So no, I honestly, now that I think about it, I mean, I'd have to go through the whole thing if we really wanted to know, but I would have to say, I don't think any pieces actually ever came. Pretty sure none of them ever came directly from artists.
Really?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. So it was pretty much always either dealer, collector, or eBay, which of course eBay's either a dealer or a collector, right? So yeah, so I
good old days when you could get a lot on eBay.
Oh yeah. All those things I passed up. I don't even think about it. Yeah. I mean, like, actually, going to the inker is a good way to potentially get artwork, because with the split, you may not think about it, but they're a good source for artwork a lot of times.
For sure.
Yeah, that's definitely been that's definitely always been one of the, I guess you can call it tricks of the trade, if you will, that people, but it's not really a trick anymore because everybody knows about it, right? The thing is, you can rarely, I find you can rarely use that anymore for vintage art. It's so rare that anybody will have any of their vintage art anymore. So yeah, it's you got to really luck out,
My first Kubert was actually, I mean, it was through a dealer, but it was through the inker on the Kubert page, because Adam doesn't really sell a lot of his artwork, so I got it from the inker set.
Right. Yeah. Well, that's the thing, right? That's why it's still a possibility with more modern guys, more modern artwork, more contemporary art, right? But yeah, now when you're looking at the 70s stuff, even the 80s stuff, these guys don't usually have anything,
Yep.
You may want to clarify on that one, Ruben. You had it listed as Garney when it's
oh, did I?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, my first my first slide mistake. Wow. Let me.
Do I get a no prize, or actually Marcus gets the no prize? He called it out first.
Let me.
Yeah.
Oh, it's because you know what? Sorry about that. Wow. Oh my God. I'm so ashamed now. Yeah. You know what it is it's that when I'm making the slides, thankfully to go faster, I'm able to switch out, so I can swap out the images. And then I just have to retype whoever the artist name is. And I guess on that one, I just forgot to redo the retyping. Sorry, guys. Clearly, you guys all knew it was Ramita Jr. Yes.
I think you should give out a free piece of art tonight or something. You know,
I'll tell my friend Vito. Vito, you're gonna have to give that piece up. Actually, now you're giving.
All right.
Somebody in the crowd.
Dave and I are definitely in the running for that one then.
All right, guys. Let's go to the next one. And the weird thing about this upcoming one, man, and I hope I didn't screw up again, because as I was slotting in all my slides for this week, I was like, we showed this one. And I was like, nah, we didn't. I'm like, I don't have time to look through the whole video though. Okay, I'm putting it in anyways. You guys can tell me right off the bat if you've seen it already last week. Here we go.
Nope.
No, we didn't see that one.
Thankfully. So this is another frontispiece inside front cover. Yeah, from
The magazine.
Rampaging Hulk, 21, I believe. And owned currently by John, otherwise known as Neon Dragon on CAF. And I have always loved this one. I love Brent Anderson. It's not like he's ever done much Hulk before. This might be the only Hulk piece he's done. And I've always liked Rubenstein on most things. And then in this period, I really love this stuff. I don't know.
This is the one where I like the pencil and ink as opposed to the colored version too.
Yeah, I agree.
Say that again. I didn't hear that.
I like the pencil and ink version more than the colored version.
More than the colored. Yeah. Well, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, isn't that usually the case though?
Yeah.
More so on this one, I think, than a lot of them.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm gonna have to go check on Neon Dragon's gallery. I have to see if that's a great looking piece.
Hey Jeff, what's up, bud? Honestly, see, CJ, thanks for coming, by the way, CJ, appreciate it. Look, I would say for me, it's probably like 99% of the time that I feel the black and white is better. It's that, like, for me, it's that rare that I feel, the original could use a little bit of help with the coloring to sort of make sense of the black and white line art. That's just been my experience. I would say 99% for sure. Not you guys don't agree with that?
No, I agree with it. I think sometimes, like, especially from that era, the colors were, not as complex and more simple, which complemented to the line work more often than not. I don't think you ever expect the color to look better. It's just sometimes, like in this case, it detracts a little bit. I think that's it. Yeah.
It's interesting because I absolutely prefer the black and white, but in this particular case, given that it was the time period that it was in, I agree with Marcus. I always thought that, hey, it's interesting. It has more of a watercolor painted look to it. I don't know. I always kind of liked that color piece. Again, not as much. I'd still rather see it in black and white, and gradated backgrounds. Yeah.
I guess if Neon Dragon wants to make it available, Steve and I'll fight over the black and white. You can have the color, guys.
Yes.
Maybe.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think that's a fair.
Well, in all fairness, and no offense to Color Guide guys, I don't want either of them anymore. You guys can have the original, and whoever wants the Color Guide can also have that. But okay, let's go on to the next piece, and that is one of the very few panel pages that, again, will be featured this week, and it's back to this book.
Another burn, man. You had a burn. Man, you had a lot of these on this. Yeah.
No. Altogether, I think that makes 3. I think it was 2 last week.
It's still pretty impressive because you don't see a lot of these pages anywhere.
No, and what's funny about that is, to this day, I don't think I've ever seen another one after the ones that I had. Maybe one, but maybe not. At most one.
I think one popped up a couple years ago. But yeah, you're right. It's not. You don't see them often. They're not common. If you're looking for a page from this book, if one comes along, you're going to have to make a hard go at it, because it might be a good while before another one comes around.
And you're gonna have to know where it's buried right now to even even try to get one.
Yeah, I mean, it's like we were talking about last time, last week. For whatever reason, who knows? None of us know where the pages are, and it's just like annual 8, right? Both annuals, 7 and 8. And the crazy thing about that is, I mean, at least one of the crazy things about it, because there are actually a few, but I feel like at least if we could have said that, oh well, 7 and 8 were done by the same creative team, then you kind of can say, oh, there's enough there to make you lead you to believe, oh, one of the art guys, one of the penciler, inker, whatever, that would make sense. One of them probably still has, or at least their share of it, But two completely separate inking teams on these, and both annuals, no pages out, right? Like a handful at most on both issues.
At most, for sure.
Yeah,
it's hard to say where they are. It's you never know. They could be in the back of a closet. Some of it probably didn't survive. It's
exactly. All right, so let's go on to this one. Okay, this is another one of those that fall into the category of, this was never going to be the best of, my best part of my collection, but it was one of those. It's available. I will take it.
It's Sal. It's a splash. I would love this. You kidding? Trish Star? Come on. I mean, come on.
That's back to that prime era.
Yeah.
Shortly, right after my favorite arc. This is, it's a great opening splash. Love the opening and closing splashes back then. There's just so much nostalgia about really, especially the closing ones, the cliffhangers, and having to wait, could be a month, could be 2, depending on when they hit the spinner rack, where you were getting them at.
Yeah, I've got a couple pages from this issue, panel pages from this issue.
Yeah. Okay.
Love the early Sal.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's, again, look, we all agree. We all, 3 of us certainly love this era. So of course I'm not knocking that. Right. But again, you got to put yourself in my shoes. Back in those days, that's what it was. Believe me, I'm well aware, very well aware that these days, because there's so many more collectors, I'm very well aware that today, any of these pieces, so even the ones that you, or the viewers watching the show, even the ones that we consider as obviously, the sort of lesser quality ones, today, of course, they would, if they by themselves popped up with just one of them, at auction, we know it would go for good money, simply because, whatever, it's a Hulk piece, splash cover, vintage, or even if it's not vintage, you know what I mean? Like, so I'm well aware of that, right? But my mentality is still, I can't sort of get out of that thinking of, those memories of being back then. Those thoughts that I used to think back then, they're still in my head, right? This was one of my weak ones that I bought for the heck of it. And so today, as I flip through these scans, I'm like, there's the weak one. And I'm always thinking, oh God, nobody's going to really care for this one.
Well,
but because that's how it was back then,
I mean, you had some really nice Sal splashes, other ones too.
Yeah. Oh no, absolutely. No. I thank you, and I agree with that for sure. Okay, so let's jump up to the modern era again, and this one's for Dave, and let's discuss whether this one is not as good as yours.
Yeah.
That is a nice one. That's a good example from that book.
I'd
say it's probably on par, just because it's got some similar elements. I mean, I prefer the one I have if they were both offered to me at the same time, but it's got similar. It's got the Hulk screaming and the arms up. It's just got more story here than the other one. So it's
it even has Joe Fix-It. That's cool.
The Joe Fix-It with Marlowe.
That's a great one.
Marlowe.
I have a feeling if this one would have been offered in place of the other one, I would have bought either one of them. So it's just really, I just really like the inks in this book. It's just really well done.
Yeah, Tex really hasn't done a lot of Hulk stuff.
No, that's it. I mean, I don't really remember. You'd probably have to tell me, other than the annual and maybe covers or whatever, what he might have done. Because
the only thing I can think of offhand, and it really wasn't even a Hulk book, was the Punisher in space one, and there was the Space Hulk with like 6 arms. That was the only thing I can remember that text did.
Hey, let me see if I understand here. CJ, I just found out where 2 of my old TTA pages were. One is gone to the trash.
Whoa.
CJ, can you please clarify that and let us know if you're saying you had a TTA original art page and you believe it's gone into the trash? Please, you need to let us know what you're talking about there, because that's
this is one of those stories happened, but there's no specifics. This would be one of those specific examples that and hopefully it wasn't a great page, but shoot, TTA they're all good.
Yeah.
Hopefully it wasn't something too historic.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, even if it was just one of those character pages, it's like anything that goes into the garbage is just God, it's terrifying, right? Like, oh God,
you don't even want to think about that, but you know what happens or has happened.
Yeah. Yep. Oh, here he is. CJ says, I own the whole TTA 27 Hulk. 10-page story by Kirby Ramita.
Oh, wow.
Now that's painful.
Okay, hold on now. But CJ's being like really cagey about this. So CJ, you own the story, very cool.
Wow.
But at the same time, 2 of your TTA pages, one went to the trash. Hopefully not from the complete story. Wow, I don't know. You're scaring me, dude.
I'm reading it. My guess is he had it and then kind of parsed it out, and then found out that, I don't know. That seems, now that I think about it, it's like, why would somebody buy it? And then that's an interesting story.
Yeah. Scaring the crap out of all of us.
Hey, CJ, if you're going to be at Heroes next weekend, find me. I'd love to hear the guts of that story.
All right. Let's go to the next slide here. And again, staying in the roughly around the same time in that modern era, within a year of the last piece. Going back to Ron Garney.
Nice cover.
Nice.
Yeah. So this one, just in case nobody ever saw it way back when, is currently in my friend Lou Haberman's gallery. Actually, he's had it since I sold it. So that's kind of cool to know. I sold it to him. This one was interesting because it was one of those covers that was it was done on 2 boards. So Banner with the virtual reality headset thing going on there on one board with the background, and then the Hulk outline on a separate board. And so even though this was roughly like around 2000, 2001 or so, I guess with computer, they overlaid one image on top of the other. The interesting for me was that me being a stickler for detail, when I had to eventually sell this, I didn't want to just show it as, one piece and then the other side by side. I wanted to have it overlain so they get the effect, right? The potential buyer gets the potential effect exactly as it should look. And so what I did is, and I still didn't have my large scanner. I went downtown again, made photocopies of both pieces. But what I did was I made a regular photocopy of the Banner with the background, and then the Hulk, I had them photocopy it onto a translucent, what do you call it? One of those plastic,
like an piece of overlay plastic.
Exactly. Yeah. A plastic overlay, which I then just taped over the photocopy. And then I was able to scan that on my 8.5 by 11. And a
lot of detail. A lot of detail here. And this is one where obviously we all want the black and white line art, but I think the cover here actually brings the piece together, kind of like what you were talking about. It's a bit complex. You don't maybe always see it right away. The color, I think, helps it here on the cover. It looks good.
Yeah. So CJ, you paid $40 for it when you were 12 years old. Wow.
That's painful to hear that.
Wow. Yeah, Mr. Easy Go Lucky. Thank you. Acetate. Thank you. It's just I had a brain fart there. And okay, and CJ's giving us some more info. I love this stuff, man. Sold 7 pages. 1980, kept 1, sold that one in night. Wow. So even the last one you sold like ages ago, getting the one I gave to my friend back. Wow.
So how many pages, CJ, will you have reunited once you get the last this last piece back? I was curious. Is it all but one? Is it the one that didn't make it?
Yeah,
That's
because
still pretty good. 8-9 pages of Kirby Romita from
yeah.
So,
I mean,
Rupert, I'm not sure if you remember, for that cover, did you buy that directly from Ron, or did you get
Nope.
that through a dealer?
nope. Just like I said before, I don't have. Again, I'd have to look through everything, right, and think about each piece. But I don't, off the top of my head, I don't have a single piece that I can remember having a memory attached to it. That I got that from a dealer. So yeah,
Okay.
that one I got from a friend of mine. I remember.
Okay, because I think it's
Maybe
issue
he
12.
got it from Ron.
Because I got the cover to issue 12, and I'm pretty sure I got that directly from Ron way back when it was
Okay.
published. So
Okay. Yeah, I mean, remember that comic was probably from around 2001 or thereabouts.
yeah,
And so I probably got it, I don't know, maybe 02, 03, something like that, So my friend who sold it to me, maybe he got it from Garney. And, I don't typically ask, well, not on modern stuff, like I don't typically ask, where'd you get it? Because if I'm getting it, relatively soon, in the first few years, after it was published, I kind of figure that the previous owner probably got it from them anyways, So that's it. What do we got? Okay, so CJ, what are you telling us now? What do we got? Just because one went to the trash via mom.
Oh, it's that mom that throws all the comics away.
Oh. Yeah, my dad actually used to have a lot of old comics, and my grandmother threw all of his old DC comics away like a long time ago.
Oh boy, yeah, I'd be happy with it with his mama. Oh my god, that's crazy. Wow. Okay, now CJ's hurting us. Wow, but hey, CJ, no. In all seriousness, I appreciate it so much that you stopped by tonight, man, and to share all these stories. This is what I love. I love this kind of stuff. So we love to hear these stories. This is what the hobby needs more of. Everybody sharing, especially old stories, gives us an idea of what happened to this stuff. How it got to where it is and all that, right? And
that he paid $40 for all of them. Oof.
Yeah. Just plunge the knife in some more, right?
You're paying $40 for a scan of one now.
Yeah, exactly. Or for the color guides.
Yeah.
All right. So let us move back a little bit again, back to the Rampaging Hulk days. Once more with a DPS. I love this one. You're not going to get a lot of Hulk, but I love it. And I think you'll know why.
Oh, nice.
You've got an airplane collecting.
Yeah.
Are you a fan of airplanes?
Oh, that's another good one.
Yeah. I mean, for me, you guys tell me, like, for me, okay, I can't help myself. I can't help always having to repeat this stuff. Back in the day, this would have been like it's cool, but because the Hulk is like the size of my thumbnail, right? For me though, it just represented. It's just a wonderful way to represent what the Hulk is all about, like power, right? Power, and in this piece, it represents the level of power he has, and of course, we know it's a lot more than that, right? But at least by using a man-made, object that we're all familiar with, it gives you that sense of sort of reality. It sort of makes it more real of like how strong he is, right? Whereas when he's lifting mountain ranges, like in Secret Wars 4 or whatever it was, it's a little bit sort of, it's hard to sort of relate to that. How do you,
Yeah,
how's this?
That's a great sense of scale there. And then Ron Wilson was so good. He's so underrated. I mean, I love his Hulk and Thing.
Oh, his Thing
is one of my favorites. And I was able to get a page from the What If Hulk Went Berserk issue a few years back. And it was I wouldn't say it's like Grail, but it was on the bucket list to get a page from that issue. And I just love his art on both of those characters. He's so underrated, I think.
Yeah, I mean, he Ron Wilson, I don't know, studied is not, well, I guess you could say it's not really the correct term, but he was mentored by John Romita for quite some time, yeah, and a lot of people don't know it, but Wilson, because he was being mentored by Romita and in his early days working in the bullpen, He would often pencil out covers for Ramita that then Ramita would heavily rework. Let's call it, right?
Yep.
Keep the pose, but yeah.
Exactly. So I bring that up only to sort of say, not only as a point of interest, but also to say, because he did that, and supposedly quite a lot, there are Ramita covers out there. This was obviously in the 70s, early to mid. A lot of Ramita covers out there that exist that ultimately got inked. That technically should have, you could have said are Ron Wilson covers. Ron Wilson could have gotten credit for them because the layouts are his.
Yeah.
And his pencils were actually on that same board that Ramita then went right over on top of, But yeah, I guess we'll never know which covers those are. And, those, I mean, that's the way that the industry was in those days anyways, right? It's why guys like Ed Hannigan, Maurice Severin, who were doing cover layouts to speed up the process for other cover pencilers, right? It's why they typically did not get to sign the cover, even though the layout is all theirs.
There was a couple. There was like 3 or 4 Ed rough like up for auction on some site, like even a couple of weeks ago. I thought.
What do you mean? You somewhere you saw?
Yeah, like I can't remember. It was Comic Connect or something, but I know there was like 3 or 4 of the rough sketches from Ed for some covers that were up for auction. That the actual.
Yeah. That would be at thepropstore.com.
Yes, that's where it was. That's right.
For those of you who want to know, it's I don't know if it might be propstore.com or thepropstore.com.
Yeah.
Anyways, do a Google search for prop store.
Nick says it was Hakes. That's what Nick's saying.
Oh, okay.
I knew it was somewhere, one of the ones.
Yeah.
And now some more at the prop store, he says.
Okay, but the prop store has a bunch of Ed Hannigan's prelims coming up soon. And my buddy Chuck Costas has a big role to play in the prop store, and so I don't mind giving a big shout out to him. They've got an upcoming auction very soon. I don't know the dates, Chuck. Sorry, this came up out of the blue, but it's coming soon. So if anybody's interested in checking out any of the comic art there, do a Google search for prop store.
I think Ron Wilson's going to be at Heroes next weekend, right?
Who? Sorry, who? Ron?
Is it Ron going to be at Heroes next week, Dave?
I haven't gone through the list with a fine-tooth comb yet, so it's been a while since I've looked at it.
Yeah, if anyone's going to Heroes, I'm pretty sure Ron's going to be there. I think he's got a table next week.
Yeah, anybody going to Heroes, hit us up, say hi, bring us some Hulk art to show. We'd love to look at it.
Or to give us, we'll take it for free.
Or buy,
Or buy,
just look at it and drool over it. It's fine with me. I don't got to buy it.
As you viewing audience and you viewing audience later on who watch it on Rewind can see, my wonderful guests really would like to acquire some Hulk art if you have any. So
always digging, man. Just always networking, and it doesn't even have to be about acquisition.
I cannot fault you for that. That's one of the biggest pieces of advice I've been giving for 25 years that I've been in the hobby, because it is honestly, I would say probably even the single best way that you can help to improve your collection and acquire stuff for your collection. Networking.
Yeah, I agree with you. And that was probably my initial intent behind it, early in my collecting days. But there's a lot of good people in this hobby, and that's also a good way to meet people and make friends. And I have people I talk to all the time and I've never bought a piece from. They've never bought from me. So it's a good way to just kind of get yourself immersed in the hobby. And if outside of even from a pure acquisition perspective,
honestly, part of the fun of going to Heroes is like the first 2 hours, 3 hours before the show starts, when you're talking to the other collectors, just comparing what you've gotten, looking at sketches. That's half the fun of going to Heroes, is talking to other collectors.
Yeah.
And
well, I always say,
Marcus did confirm that Ron is going to be at the show, Steve.
Oh, okay. That's there we go. Marcus, thanks, Marcus. And my buddy Comic Art Boston says he agrees with me that the prices from collector to collector tend to be very reasonable. Well, there you go. There you go. Another great reason to try to, make friends with people, as many as you can, talk to people, network. That's what networking is all about. So, all right. So let's go on to the next piece. And for this, we go back to the favorite of ours, Sal era.
Oh, this
except,
is the one.
Except it's not Sal.
Yeah. It's a fill-in issue from Bob this is the one Dave and I have talked about 2-3 weeks ago.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Actually, it was a little longer. Yeah, but it's I don't think that's Patterson, is it?
Yeah, supposedly.
I think Leighton inks on that one.
It says on the page that
Does it?
Bruce
Yeah.
inked it. So
I mean, it's credited to him. So
not sure if it's
I know what you mean, though.
I thought it was Mooney on that one. That's what
I was thinking it was Mooney too. All right.
Yeah. What can I tell you? I can only, I don't know. I mean, to me, I would have said no. I would have said it looks very Bobbish, both kind of pencils, even, and inks potentially. So, I don't know. He's got that sort of blue-eyed baby-eyed.
I think Patterson's the letterer, but I think it's Leighton inks with a very heavy influence over the pencils. Okay. Yeah. I always think of this as the Leighton issue, is what I always call it.
Yeah, right. Yeah, me too. That's what I used to do too. And what do you say? Do you think Hulk can digest corn? I don't know, man.
Maybe he did.
And Ted thinks it's also looking like Leighton. It does. It doesn't mean necessarily. Look, it's penciled by him, right? So, and CJ, you're right. Exactly. I have to admit, I really hate the hair. Like, yeah, really bad. And Marcus, again, he's got that baby face Bob Leighton baby face look. A little bit too human. I'd rather it be more Hulk looking. But and again, this is why. GCD. But you know what, Comic Art Boston? No offense, but over the years, I've caught so many errors on that website. So I don't know what to tell you about that. And they say Leighton inks. Yeah, I don't know. What can I tell you?
It's a good page. Regardless, it's a good page. It's a good.
This was that one issue that was right in the middle of that Sal run that was a complete guest team. Writer, penciler, inker, everything was complete, like a fill-in story.
Yep. They pulled it off a shelf. It was sitting there for a couple of years, and they published it.
Yeah. Again, just got to mention that was another one that was one of those. I guess I'll take it anyways.
Yeah. It's a splash. Why not?
That's it. It's another one from that era, so that's why not?
Very nostalgic. It's a good page.
Yeah.
Good splash.
All right, so let us jump forward again to the modern era, and we have a piece by a not known for Hulk type artist, J.H. Williams III.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
What do you guys think of this?
I want to say this was on the market the last so many years or so. This one's.
I believe so. I believe so. I think I remember it too. Yeah.
Yeah. You're very distinct. This isn't one that came across. I don't remember it being available, but I want to say it popped on the market for a while. I love the line work. Black and white's really, really strong.
Yeah. I like the high contrast work.
Mm-hmm.
For me, my favorite part of it actually was the middle panel, the battle where the Hulk is gonna like grab Thor's head. Looks like he's gonna crush it like a coconut.
Yep.
I mean, there's been so many classic Thor versus Hulk stories over the years.
Right.
It's a great cover for showing that battle.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's not the typical sort of I love, and I say this saying that I love J.H. Williams's art. It's very design heavy, very graphic. It's got a great graphic quality to it. But for a guy who typically doesn't do this type of stuff, I thought, it's really interesting. It looks different, but yeah, when I saw it, I just remember thinking, I don't know, like this is weird, but it's cool. It's kind, it's I don't know.
It's not your traditional cover artwork,
right? Exactly. That's the word, right? Exactly. It's not what you typically would think of or expect to see. With the Hulk, The thing about this one was, I have to admit, even though at the time I was like, it's cool. Like I don't know how much I like it, but I don't dislike it. It was one of those. I kept going back and forth with it, right? And I was like, but the thing that pulled me more was, man, you don't get enough opportunities as a Hulk fan to buy a Hulk versus Thor cover, anyways, right? By anybody from any era. And that's ultimately what it came down to for me. I was like, yeah, like that alone, like, yeah, that crunch.
Yeah, I think you're right. That's probably like at the top of the list as far as the draw on that page. I don't have any J.H. Williams art. I've never really kind of sought him out as an artist, but I think you're right.
Yeah.
Hulk versus Thor on a cover, that's going to click some boxes for people.
And I think for me, if I'd seen that, it's different enough, but it would depend on the price,
Right.
Oh, yeah. Price is not, I'm like, I could buy something better for that same amount, or for as reasonable, then I would jump on it. That's one of those ones I'm not going to chase, but
yeah, exactly.
So.
Exactly. Fair, perfectly well said. Exactly. We can't help but, or at least I can't help but sort of bring up the fact that the one I really, really wanted is the one that you guys would also want to have. And I believe it's 256. The Buckler. Is it Buckler? Hulk Thor.
That's the Sabra issue, I think.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, so no, 256 is Sabra. Which one? 257 maybe? Which was the Thor issue? But there was the Thor issue in that from that era.
That's a great, yeah.
You know what I'm talking about.
Yep,
and I believe it's Buckler. Yeah. So that's the one I dreamed about getting, but it never hit the market. And to this day, I don't think it hit the market. It has hit the market, maybe, but I don't think so. All right, so let's move on to the next piece. And for this, we rewind back again to Rampaging Hulk. And interestingly enough, another piece that I was like, did I show this? And the reason I think I'm getting confused is because before, putting all these images together, I showed a couple to a friend of mine. And so maybe that's what's happening is I thought, oh, maybe it's because I thought I showed it to him. And that's why I think I showed it to you guys or whatever, But here's that one. And oh God, I love this one.
Oh, nice.
Gene great Colan. Perspective.
Wow. Yeah. That's a great DPS.
That's awesome. That's one I don't have. When I think of Colan, if I think I was going to get some Colan art, I was a big Iron Man fan. Iron Man and Hulk were my two favorites. I think it would be an Iron Man page just because I don't think of Colan really quickly when I think of Hulk, but this is the exception to that rule because it's just so well laid out, so dynamic, and so well executed. The teamwork of Colan and Alcala is just really, really works here. This is one I would have seen myself trying to put a good run at.
And thanks, Sheldon, for popping in that info. 255, the Hulk Thor cover. Thank you.
You have an impressive amount of Hulk magazine artwork because you don't see a lot of that out there anyways, but you've got a fair collection of it.
Yeah, I was gonna mention that too. You're well represented in the magazine art. Was it easy to get, or was there a certain dealer that was selling it?
No. I gotta say, I mean, it just kind of well, I will. Okay, you know what? I can say that insofar as the covers are concerned, that I can say that for a brief period of time in the early 2000s, quite a few of those covers started popping up.
Huh.
And that's why. So if you remember last week when I had the Bob Larkin Rampaging Hulk cover, right? And where his back is to the viewer, right?
Yep. Right.
So if you remember me saying, well, at the time it was not considered. People would tell me, well, why would you bother? I mean, his back is to you, might as well just wait for a better one. And that's kind of the reason why. It's because in those days, there was quite a few that had just seemed to be popping up here and there, So it just, it spoils you in a way. And it just makes you think, oh, well, these have come up. I guess other ones will be coming up too,
Were you a placeholder collector, or were you I'm going to wait till another one comes along that I like?
Man, you know what? I'm glad, it's so funny that you brought that up because I've just been talking about that with a few different friends just in the last few days, man. So placeholder collector. Oh God. So here's the thing. I will say I've done it. I can't deny I've done it. But I feel, in the interim, the intervening years, my attitude about it changed for the worse. And what I mean by that is Anybody seeks opinions from me, or guidance of any kind about this topic, for many years now I try to tell them, try to convince them, if you will, to not go for a placeholder unless it's what that each individual person, everybody's situation financially is different, unless to them it is considered a low end piece. Okay. I just don't feel, for me, look, when I got placeholders back in the day, it's for the same reason most people get them today. It's because people typically have been looking, can't find it, or even if they find it, they can't afford it, right? From that, let's say, example from that artist. And then finally they're like, okay, I've always just wanted an example of this artist from this title, so I'm just going to get it. And they get it. So interestingly enough, a really good friend of mine, literally 5 feet away from me through the wall on my left, it lives right next door to me. He, several years ago, probably 8 years ago or so, had a Kirby page, right? And he's like a Kirby Journey into Mystery page. And I was like, oh, wow, cool. Oh, let me see it, And so he shows it to me. And this thing, this thing is what we in the hobby, at least, when we're not publicly out there in front of a bunch of people, we just say, okay, that's a crap page, right? Everybody says it, right? Nobody publicly seems to want to admit it, but I'm talking about, four panels, let's say. It's open field, some vast open field, the whole scenery for all 4 panels. Maybe there's a withering tree in one of those panels. Literally, there's nothing on it. And he bought it just because he had always wanted a Kirby Journey into Mystery page. And at that time, that piece was, I think, $2,000 or $1,800 or something like that. And it's like, it's got grassy fields, sky, and a withering tree in a panel. Like, you blew 2 G's on that, man. It's like you can, man, for $2,000. The thing is like, man, you could do better, because it's just, I don't know. I get, and this is the thing. I get the desire, right? I get the desire to say, but I've always wanted it. Okay, but guess what happened? Once I looked at it, and at the time that he showed it to me, just so you guys are clear, I didn't put it down. I didn't tell him, oh, this is crap. I complimented it. I went along, and in my head, I was saying one thing, but to him, I didn't want him to feel bad. And I said, like, yeah, it's pretty good. Yeah, it's obviously, I'm not going to blow smoke up your ass. It's not a top page, but for what it is, it's all right, and at least you get your Kirby page, But I can tell you, a couple of years later, he gave it to me to sell. He realized, like, you know what? Like, there's nothing on this page. What am I doing? I could use that $2,000 to buy so many other things I like, and that's it. So I don't know. I mean, what's your perspective on placeholder?
I personally think there's no right or wrong way to collect. Everybody's individual.
No, of course not.
So I mean, that being said, I don't think I did a lot of it early on, and because I think my initial perspective on placeholder was kind of like buying a piece of art maybe you didn't like, right? Or you obviously maybe didn't love. And so I kind of look at it like, if I'm going to do that, like, it's not the page I want, but it's from that issue, or it's a similar, and maybe I don't like as much, I still have to like the page and look at it as something I want to have in my collection.
Right.
I don't buy a lot of art specifically to say, I'm going to buy this so I can sell it. Right.
Right.
I will buy a piece to say, I like this page. It makes me happy to have it in my collection. But if a better example came along, you could move it along. So it can't, for me, if it's a placeholder, it's got to be something I like in my collection, because if I don't, I'm going to look at it and it's, it's going to be like, why did I buy that? So I try not to buy anything I don't like. But I think it's also changed. I think 20 years ago, when a lot of the stuff you were buying, Rubén, there was always going to be something coming along, right? So your advice you would have given to a collector 20 years ago, definitely 25 years ago, certainly 30 years ago, is different than now, because if it's got a feature or two on the page, say a title or an artist or a character that's, in high demand, you may want to go ahead and grab it, because things, either aren't being offered, or it's hard to get. It's harder to, those examples are fewer and farther between sometimes. So
Yeah, I hear you. I hear
yeah,
you.
that's the
Yeah.
way I
I
look
think
at it.
I think for
What do you
me,
think, Steve?
I think it kind of depends on the artist. If I know that there's a fair amount of content out there, I might wait and say, okay, I'm just going to hold on to it and something. But if it's an artist I'm looking at and he only did a very small run on the Hulk, I might grab a page because I know the odds of something coming up are going to be much smaller. I may get like a 6-panel page with 2 or 3 panels of the Hulk. I like it, but it's not the one I wanted. But it really depends on what I think the odds of even seeing another one are, because sometimes it's going to be better something than nothing ever getting. So
It's true. It's true. But let me just say that the reason I still give that advice, and again, when I say advice, right? When I say give advice, just I want you guys to understand clearly. So sometimes I misspeak, and it could mean something else. It's not that I try to push the guy and say, you know what, man, don't don't buy it. Don't buy it. It's not a good pay. It's not that I do that. What I try to say is I try to explain this, the way I think about it. I try to give an example. Like I'll say, for example, okay, say that with the same value that we were talking before, $2,000, right? So what I tend to say is, all right, if you're see, I wouldn't buy that and spend $2,000 for it if it's a placeholder. The reason being is I will always tell these guys, look, there's always other things that you're looking for, right? You're always, as a collector, or you're an active collector, you're always looking for more stuff. The problem, I think the biggest problem with place holding, right? The habit of place holding is that, at least it happened to me back in the day, thankfully. When you decide, okay, I'm going to buy it for now anyways as a placeholder. Okay, fine. You buy it, you've put out your 2,000, right? Then what often will happen is another piece comes around the corner. It could be 2 weeks later, a month, whatever. Right? Soon enough, another piece comes around, and then all of a sudden, it might be like a $5,000 or $4,000 piece that you want, and you're willing to buy it, but all of a sudden you've got no cash flow, right? And you're like, oh my god, this piece came up. It's like 4.5K, let's say. I don't have the money though. And what are you going to be thinking? Oh, geez, if I didn't buy that $2,000 placeholder, right? And the problem with that is most of us in that situation, we will look at what we got and let me see what I can sell quickly, right? To get the money.
Right.
And you would be wishing you could sell the placeholder quickly that you just picked up. But because it's a placeholder, and typically a placeholder is not a great example, you can't sell that quickly, So then you're forced to look for something else you may not really want to part as badly with, if you know what I'm saying.
I agree with you, Ruben, and I think you bring two more points to mind. If you're buying stuff that's quote unquote placeholder, yeah, you don't want to like tap yourself out on it, right? Because in this hobby, you kind of always want to have a way to get that piece that comes around the corner, that's,
Yeah.
immediately when you see it, I gotta get this, or
Yeah.
I gotta make is the best run I can at it. So yeah, you don't want to do that when it's kind of the end of the run for your, your bullets, right? You don't want to have
Right.
no bullets to shoot. The other thing too is you have to know who you are as a collector. If you're a collector that's not really active or comfortable, selling or trading or, marketing or pushing a piece or reaching out, if that's not who you are, which I kind of fall into that category, it's not
Mm.
something that I do a lot of.
A lot of people are like that. So
Right. And if you're
it's
not
nothing.
that person, then you kind of have to, if the purpose you bought the piece for isn't something that plays to your comfort level or strength, then maybe you would want to reconsider. I'm thinking of a couple guys that I know that are always, in groups and chats on, on forums, and just very well connected and very outgoing, social, does a lot of that kind of thing. And those kind of folks, it makes sense to do it because they have a greater opportunity and ability to move a piece, so I think you got to think about it like that. If that's not something you're comfortable with doing, then I probably wouldn't do it either.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Mr. Red Jack, Brian makes a great point too, right? Money is so tight, and with everything in the art market being so expensive these days, right? It's how can you really afford to put out cash flow on a placeholder, right? That you may need that cash soon after when another an actually great, better piece comes along. You know what I mean?
Well, the sad part is the placeholder cost maybe what I wanted to pay 2 years ago for an actual piece, and I can't afford the actual piece anymore. So the placeholder is
that's the other side of the coin. What Mickey posted, yeah.
Okay, all right. So Mickey, hi, by the way, lovely to have you here again. I appreciate you dropping by, man. So Mickey, let me ask you, man. So you passed on the Steranko placeholder. You say you haven't found a replacement, probably never will, I'm assuming, because of the costs inherent with that. And I get that. But what I really want to know, please let us know. And think before you answer. Think of it for a few seconds before you type your answer. When you think back to the placeholder and you remember what that page looked like, can you honestly say today that you would still have been happy to have it, simply to say, oh, well, at least I got a Steranko? Like, you would still be okay with that? Like, you're not, I don't know. Just let me know if yeah, because I'm getting the impression you probably would, you have regretted it, and that you probably would have still liked to have had it. I
think of a couple artists that I definitely passed on stuff thinking, well, I'm going to get something better later on, and now I'm never going to get anything.
Steve, we talk about that. It's like, hey, I could have got that in 2019 for this. And at the time I thought, it's not a great deal. It's not a great example. And then now you look at it and like, man, I would have bought it in a minute, knowing what I do now, because the market is just changing so much. So you could second guess yourself.
Yeah, you can't live in this market. You can't live in this hobby by regrets, because it'll eat you.
Yeah.
Hey, guys, person has regrets.
Oh no, yeah. Look, I mean, it's and did I see? There's a couple of comments. Yes, he still would have it if he had bought it. Okay, yeah, fair enough, man. Fair enough. And that goes to Dave's point, right? That there's no set right or wrong way to collect. I mean, everybody is different in how they think, right, about their collections and their collecting. So whatever works for everybody is. And again, if people ask me, if you're asking me for my opinion, I have to give my honest opinion, right? Yeah. I'm not going to say what I think you want me to say. You know what I mean? I'm going to tell you
everyone
what I think.
Collects differently. Everybody collects differently. For sure.
And I think you learn, these are kind of things that you can't know when you're first collecting, right? And so, that piece that you passed on, in the first couple of years you're collecting, you kind of learn, from following and watching the markets, like, you know what, I should grab this because I don't feel like there's going to be something around the corner next. And you just kind of learn where to pick your spots. It's kind of like, your education for the collecting hobby. It's, I have all of my regrets are stuff I didn't buy, and nothing I did.
Yeah. And Comic Art Boston makes a great point. I mean, there are times where it's an iconic issue, but this is, of course, what I refer to as the exception, not the rule, right? This is an exception where it's an iconic issue, costing him an arm and a leg to obtain a page from ASM 39, right? You can only afford it because it's the least attractive page, but whatever. He loves it. And that makes sense. Like, I get that. Of course. I get, for sure.
Congratulations. That's a great buy.
Yeah, absolutely. And listen, and in that example, I'm with you as well. I would have probably done the same too. So, all right, guys. Well, listen, we're almost at the halfway point. So we're only a little behind that, de facto aiming for 2 hours show thing that I always do. So what we're going to do is we're only a few pieces away. I think 3 pieces away from doing our first giveaway of the evening. And that's going to be Nick's giveaway of the piece of Hulk art. And since we got Nick, who has popped into studio, I'm going to bring him right on with us now. And hopefully he since he's going to have to wait for a few pieces to go by before we do the giveaway, I might as well bring him in and have him hang out with us.
Hey guys, how are you?
What up, Nicky B?
Hey Nick.
What's going on?
Nick in the house.
How's it going,
Did you guys catch the Heritage auction at all?
Not me.
Yeah, a little bit.
Hold on, guys. I'm just gonna keep practicing and trying to see what's the best look for us.
Well, the best look is to take me off. I mean, put me here. There you go. That's a better look. So,
What's up?
no,
No, I
great
didn't.
conversation.
I did not look at the auction at all. Actually,
You guys are well. It's just starting that off, but you guys are having a great conversation, and like you guys are saying, when it comes to buying a piece to have an example, I think what it comes down to is one ultimate thing. Because Ruben said, if you lay out $2,000 for something, and something else comes along, you may be stuck in a position where you got to sell something else. The key is just be happy. Know that if you buy it, you're going to be happy. I know Ruben said his one friend said a couple years later, "Oh my God, why did I buy this? Sell it for me." At the very least, it was a Kirby page.
yeah,
You know?
yeah.
At the very least, it was
If
that.
you're going to sell one, Kirby's always the way to go.
Yeah,
Exactly.
but at the end of the day, you just gotta look at it and say, I'll at least be happy with this page. I'm not buying it for any. It may be the while I'm waiting page, but as long as you're happy and love it, that's all that you need. Comic Art Boston, how are you? Crisis on Infinite Hulk pages from Nick. That's funny. Man. So, claim Nick's Hulk art. You guys got to tune in on Fridays for Hulk art. We just had a big Hulk Friday.
Exactly.
I was
so
I
you had
was
a bunch of
driving my
Gardies
car.
on
I
there,
would have. I was trying to.
Yeah.
I was driving though. Couldn't do it.
Yeah, I was
All right,
flipping
but
out when I saw that Garney page that Ruben showed. That was beautiful.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So let's move on so that we can get to the giveaway, because I'm sure people are waiting for that. So let's go to the next piece. Yeah, three more pieces before the giveaway, and that'll be back to Dave, Steve, and mine's favorite. Well, maybe a little for you guys later, but no, it's still mine. Here we go.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and that's again in Neon Dragon's collection.
This was on, was it
Yeah,
Heritage or Comic Link a few years back, wasn't it?
I'm assuming that's
It
where
was.
Neon Dragon got it. I can, yeah. I'm
I have
assuming.
to connect with Neon Dragon. He's got some
Yeah.
good pieces.
Yeah, he does. Jeez.
Yeah, I just love the more than anything. I mean, it's a nice large Hulk, but the expression, the drama in his face. Yeah, that's what it was for me. And of course, Hulk leaping and
It's Hulk and Senate. It's
Yeah.
well executed.
yeah,
Yeah.
Sal's pencils with Senate, man, love them.
Yeah.
Yeah, very, very. It's one, and this was interestingly enough one of my, I would say one of my earlier ones. I think this was probably like an eBay purchase. Yeah, I don't even. Yeah, it was probably like not even $200 or something.
Don't tell me that, please.
Guys, like I honestly, out of curiosity, because I haven't followed specifically Hulk art per se. I mean, I do follow the covers, not so much anything else. Just off the top of your head, I'm just curious for curiosity reasons. Even though we never talked about this in the first episode, which was nice. I actually like the fact that we didn't have to bring up values and all that. But just out of curiosity to just satisfy it for a second, what would you guys say that this piece would sell for today if it was like at auction, like a Heritage or Comic Link or whatever? Like ballpark. I'm just curious.
There's some recent examples of sales from this era, the 270s with Sal
Oh,
and
really?
Joe, and the panel
Okay.
pages usually go for around $1,000 for an average non-Hulk or maybe very little Hulk. So take some multiple of that, and you're probably in the right ballpark. Catskills has been releasing some of these straight from the Senate collection.
Yep,
Recently.
I know that.
5-6K, Dave. What do you think? I mean, a good Hulk
Could
splash
be.
right now.
Whoa, are you guys serious? 5 to 6 for this?
I mean, in the current market, Sal's artwork has, unfortunately for Dave and I, exploded in the last.
Yeah, you can't get it
Wow.
anymore.
Wow,
So,
that is amazing. Holy smokes. Okay, all right. Well, that's. I guess I'm glad I'm not looking for Hulk art anymore because
It's hard to afford it anymore, unfortunately.
it's just such a good Hulk page. I mean, I love pages where it has Hulk doing Hulk things. Like I said before, I like where he's called the monster. Like the Hulk leap. That's such an iconic part of what Hulk does, and this is just a really well illustrated example of how Sal chose to draw it in this issue.
So CJ, you're saying that you think this would go for that surprisingly odd number of 2,800? Is that what you're trying to tell us? I'm not following
That may have
there.
been what it sold for a few years back.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
That was before the market.
Oh,
I mean, it really has been the
Marcus.
last year and a half. The market's gone crazy.
Marcus,
Okay.
Marcus throwing some shade there too.
Marcus always likes to give us some good data. I like data.
He's throwing some shade at another piece that's for sale right now. But I can
That's
appreciate that too.
Oh no, CJ's telling us that that's his guess. Okay.
I think it'll go for a little bit more than that.
Okay. I'll sorry, CJ. I mean, I don't want to like go, I don't want to side against you, but if I gotta guess who would be more likely to know, I'd go with the two Hulk chasers here.
And I would
storm
put
chasers
it. I
with
would
the
put
Hulk
it in between CJ's guess and Steve's. I would say it'd be somewhere
interesting.
in between. Yeah.
Interesting. So to you would admit Steve's probably came in pretty high.
I wouldn't say pretty high. Maybe
Somewhat high.
Yeah, maybe a little bit.
Yeah.
I think it comes down to a bunch of things. Like, is there a lot of Buscema Hulk in that auction? A lot of Hulk. How much?
Yeah, no, obviously,
it
yeah.
has. So
You've seen a lot of Sal hitting the market with his market rising. You've seen a lot of people letting stuff go where they weren't before because it just, at what they were going for, people just were keeping it. So his market's really, really caught fire.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I think 3,500 to 4,500. Just on a normal day, normal day, normal auction. But, look, the market can be crazy. I mean, today a Daredevil John Romita Jr. splash page from 261 just went for $48,000. And we're talking a splash
48,000. What was on it though?
It was Kingpin fighting Typhoid Mary, basically throwing her throwing stuff at him, and her going back to attack him. I think it was 6 or 7 panels.
Wow.
Now, the last...
No Daredevil?
Wow. The last 261 page went for 37,000, and we were all freaking out because I'm a Daredevil fan. And, but, I mean, again, I think somebody's trying to put together 261. It's the only thing that makes sense to me.
That would make sense. That might make sense. Yeah.
It's kind of like Gene Park trying to put together.
G.I. Joe.
The 172?
The 172. The X-Men 172 by Paul Smith. That last page in Heritage went for that panel page without any of the X-Men went for like what, $28,000 or $32,000 for one panel page. So, but again, there's a lot of Sal. The good thing about Sal, and here's the funny thing that I'll say, I don't know if you guys remember, but there were 2 estates that put a lot of Jim Aparo art out at the same time because there was hardly any Jim Aparo art out there, and pages were going for $3,000-$4,000 for panel pages. 3 months later, no pages were going for above 1,000 for normal story pages. But with Sal, I don't see that being the case because it's Marvel, because it's the Hulk. So even though there's more pages coming out, I think there's going to be a leveling and a consistency, but there will be growth depending on the book. His key Avengers issues will go for a lot of money. But,
it's hard to say. Heritage is the X factor, no pun intended with the book that Gene's trying to put together. It's almost unpredictable. I mean, almost completely unpredictable because it's, and then is Heritage synonymous with the market, because stuff sells elsewhere. So it's almost like, where does it sell? And, and somebody made a comment about you get 2 people going for something on Heritage. You can get get a crazy number.
Yeah.
Thanks for dropping by the way, Michael.
Let's see. The sky's the limit. Yeah, it can be. It can be. I was talking to somebody today, and he the first few items, he's like, "Oh, some of this stuff is going a little soft." And I said, you're saying soft when it's probably the right price." I was like, that's not soft. That's just, it's going for the right price. It's just the expectations. It's like people saying Dark Knight was soft. It wasn't soft. $2 million, $2.4 million is a good price for it. It's a really good price. And considering the number 3 sold for under or about $300,000 last auction, I think $2 million is a good price. I think the only price realized that might have been a disappointment is if it had done less than $1 million.
Oh yeah, of
To
course.
me,
Yeah, of course.
anything over $1 million is good, and 2 million. Because I was actually telling Will Gabriel this because we were talking about this 2 months ago when people first saw it. And I said, I think it's going to go either for 2 million plus juice, or somebody's going to put in a cup bid for 2.1 million and be at 2.5 million, 2,520,000, because those feel like the numbers where either somebody's going to feel good going at 2.4 or somebody's going to feel good at 2.5. What cracks me up is when there are people out there who don't include the juice as a cost.
Oh,
Yeah.
You have to include that. You have to.
You know what? That's the craziest thing. Look, I got a really, really close friend of mine. All right, really close friend, good collector. And every time we're chatting through email, and every single time without fail, when he's telling me, I picked up these pieces from this auction, and because he buys from European auctions and as well as heritage and whatnot, right?
And they charge 25% on some.
Yeah, right. And he's got this horrible habit of always quoting, like he'll quote a price, and I'll be like, "Ooh, that seems low. How is that high?" And he's like, "Oh yeah, but then there's the juice." I'm like, "Well, why wouldn't you tell me that number? Why don't you quote the? Of course, you got to quote the juice. You can't discuss this. You always quote the juice. You're paying the price every penny that you
It'll
pay
leave
out
in
of
your bank account.
It's part of the price. You have to include everything. Oh man, it's crazy.
Yeah,
but
no, it's crazy. I mean, like I said, when I brought up the Daredevil, I said 48,000. I didn't say 40. It's just. By the way, the other thing that really was off the charts. Okay, so I'm going to digress, and then we're going to go back to talking about
quickly because I don't want to fall behind to talk about auction stuff.
Yeah. But the two things that really freaked me out, there was an Iron Man John Romita Jr. splash. He would have shilled if it was under 1 million. There was the John Romita Jr. Iron Man splash. Did you guys see that went for $102,000?
I haven't seen anything, but you please tell me that at least that was from the first Romita Jr.
That was from the first.
Okay.
But today, a Green Lantern page by Neil Adams went for, hold on, I texted somebody because I was freaking out. I wrote it down. It went for blah, 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 blah. It went for over $30,000, and it was a Neil Adams backup story to the Flag.
From those backup stories. Yeah.
I'm like, how does it? I mean, he's doing the Oath. I get it.
Well, come on, man. If it's an Oath page, that's always a huge
$38,000 for a Neil Adams backup story Oath page.
Honestly, at this stage of the hobby, I really don't. Okay, so back in the day, 20, 23 years ago, yes, everybody was like, "Oh yeah, I'll take that Neil Adams page." Oh, wait a second. Oh, it's from the backup story in the fly. Oh, never mind. That's crap. Okay, that's how it was. But these days, things have changed a lot. I find like even when it's from the not the real title, there's enough people that they pay up. I mean, I don't know. The pages from the regular titles, there's been plenty that have gone into the 30s, haven't there?
Some, but a lot of the stuff, like even from Green Lantern 85, there was one where Green Lantern and Green Arrow were in costume. They were knocked out because they were drugged. Green Lantern is related to Green Goliath and Green Goblin. Don't forget, he's related to Green Goblin. They're distant cousins. But that went for like $10,000, $12,000. I mean, that's why to me, $38,000 for that.
45. Ted says 45 with the juice.
What did I miss? Wow, did I miss? No,
you might have seen a second page that went for only 38. Only 38.
No, I mean, if I missed it, I missed it. Geez, thanks, Ted. But there's no rhyme or reason. But let's go back to the Hulk.
Yeah, let's get back to the Hulk. All right. Sorry for that segue, guys. Sorry.
This is why Nick can't come on shows.
That's why I believe it or not, Nick. I saw you there, and I was like, you know what? There's 3 pieces left. I think I'm gonna just go with the 3 pieces, then bring him into the studio. And I made the mistake to get you on. I'm like, oh god, and here we go, falling behind again. Nah, just kidding. It's okay. It's okay. But we do got to get back on track. So
yeah.
All right. So let's get back to the next piece, guys. And but really, really quick, let me just might as well. Sorry, because I want to get you guys. I love you guys in the chat. Good Neil's art has been depressed in value. Do you think that really? Interesting. That's an interesting comment. And Hulk time. Yay, thanks, Hart. And Comic Robot, thank you. At least you're enjoying it. That's great. Thank you. But I still don't want to fall behind. I feel bad all the time. Okay, so let's go to the next piece, which is once again from that same issue we all love.
Wow, man.
Man.
Number 4.
Wow.
Yeah. So it was 4. It was, so as of right now, I wasn't saying 4 before. I was saying 3 because I didn't want to reveal that, there's another one coming. So now I can tell you it was 3 panel pages and this splash, and that's it. That's all I had from this book.
I remember when this went for sale. I thought about it, and I can't remember. It's been a while now. It's kind of all bleeds together, so it's probably been longer than I'm thinking is. But I remember when this one went for sale, and glad it landed in Eric's collection. He's got an amazing collection.
It went for high value because of Walter Cronkite, right? Isn't that why it went for so much?
Yeah, that's it's that
Special appearance.
birth page or whatever. Yeah, actually, but I just might as well touch upon it because we talked about it last week. This for those of viewers out there watching who aren't aware of this story. So John Byrne penciled it, Bob Layton inked it, as you can see right there. But John Byrne has been on record as saying that he really, really hated Layton's the job that Layton did on this annual. And when he got more specific about what it was that he hated about it. And he then said that, and in reference to this exact page you see here on the screen, he said, and I'm paraphrasing, of course, this is not an exact quote, but he said, "I hated the way that Bob made the Angel look so gay."
Wow.
And
Okay.
and the air got sucked out of the room all of a sudden.
Yeah.
See, as a Hulk collector, I remember when this came out, and I'm like, we don't need any of these other characters. Just make it a Hulk. Or I wish the guys in the foreground were stats. So the page would be worth less. Because I just want it. I just want it because it's Byrne Hulk.
Yeah.
Right. So yeah, I mean, look, for me, that's exactly what it was. It was like, I mean, yeah, in a perfect world, I looked at it and I always thought, man, if only the Angel were out of the way so I could see a bigger Hulk or something, right? Because that's what you wanted for. But never in my mind did it occur to me to think, oh, the Angel's gay, move him out of the way. It's like, what? It's bizarre, whatever. But
Everyone
whatever.
has an opinion.
John will be John, I guess, right?
Yes.
So
Grumpy old man.
And, somebody. Well, I didn't even realize I was so stunned. Yeah, there you go. Okay, you're going back to the Adams, which we'll stay away from. But yeah, let's go to the next piece. All right, so yeah, this was interesting. I'm curious what you guys think about. What do you have to say about this one? What do you think about
Drum roll. Oh, great
it's
cover.
beautiful, and
Yeah.
I know we know who the owner is.
Okay. Yeah, in some cases,
it's a dealer.
Yeah, okay. Right. So in some cases there have been pieces where I also do know who it is, but I decided to only put the owner name if the art was being shown on Comic Art Fans, so yeah.
That's a good line to draw, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
I like
Steve,
this
Dave,
cover.
tell me, you guys, you're the Hulkamaniacs. Tell me.
I like this cover. I remember the
Yeah.
story. It's one of those kind of like villain stories again, but it's a great cover.
Yeah.
This is one that you look at and you kind of admire it from afar, but I look at it and I'm like, I love Frank Miller. I don't think Hulk was the pinnacle of his, career and example. And it's like one of those ones where it's probably always out of reach because it's Frank Miller, right? I would love to have a Bronze Age, Hulk cover from this era, anywhere in the 200s. But because it's Frank, it's probably not the one I would probably go for. And then it's got the, Ruben, you probably liked it because it's got Hulk's back to the viewer. So I see why you probably bought that.
That's all I ever looked for, Dave. Hulk back covers and Hulk back splashes.
So were you able to negotiate based on that fact? Like, come on, man, that's got Hulk's back. You got to give me a deal.
You know what? Honestly, on that one, I got to tell you, I do remember as we were talking, laying that point out. I did, because that's what you did in those days, right? It was like, yes, it's Miller. Okay, but if you guys remember, so Miller, he did that one, but then he did 258, was it? The one with the Soviet super soldiers. And Ursa Major is holding back the Hulk, right? And he's getting punched, right? So that one, for the content, would have been my preferred Miller cover. You know, I love the Miller my whole life, so I thought, okay, I've got to get one of the Miller covers. That'd be great. This one came up, so I was like, well, I don't know if I'll ever even see the other one, right? Since there's only 2 that he did. So, of course, I did a deal for it. But yeah, I'll admit that's what you did back then. You know, the price was the price, and the price seemed like it was, you know, within the range that we figured it should be at the time.
Ruben said, come on, give me a deal. I'm an ass man.
I'm an ass man. Or I'm a back man. Baby's got back.
There you go.
But no, I mean, yeah, nice, Rick, as a placeholder, exactly. But yeah, exactly. Like I just thought, man, we just got to come together on the price. Like I said, it seemed fine, right? But you needed to come down just a little bit. And of course, I had to say, look, it's not like I could see him from the front, right? It's not, you know, it's not Miller's better of the 2 covers, so whatever. But yeah, it was still kind of a cool thing. The one thing for me that was that's exactly Ruben's back. That's the one thing for me about it that I loved, is that it's a pure Miller, and I've always been a very, very big proponent of getting art from pencilers who also ink themselves, if they happen to be their own best inker, because sometimes they're not.
And back then, it was really rare for Miller to ink himself. Really rare.
Yeah. But sometimes on covers, right? So
yeah.
So yeah, so that's the thing. So that's why I thought, okay, at least I got the one that I can say is pure Miller, even though the other one, inked by Milgram, has better content, right? But whatever, it is what it is, and that's that. So, but all right, everybody. So we've hit the point in the show where this is the intermission, and what we're going to do now is we're going to do a giveaway, okay, of a page of Hulk that Dynamite's Nikki B has actually interesting story for you guys. So what this is why we're doing this. So last week, Nick gets in contact with me and he says, hey, you know, would you like to pop in on my show, the EXP, the Experience, on Friday nights, which by the way is at 7:00. And he says, come by this week. And I'm like, oh, okay. And the thing is that he did that because on last Sunday's, you know, part 1 of this show that I'm doing, I saw him, and I don't think I acknowledged it, but I saw him post something. I think you can confirm, Nick, a comment that said, hey, I've been inspired by the Hulk show, by this Hulk show. I'm going to give away a Hulk piece by Garney on my show, Nick, on Friday, right?
Right.
I think, yeah, exactly. Right. So then Nick gets in touch with me and he says, hey, why don't you come on the show, since you're going to be doing your part 2 of this show next Sunday? Come on the show. I'll give a piece of art. Just come on, and, you know, I'll you know, talk, you know, so basically so he can help promote me to his audience. And I just said, well, I'll be glad to come on because I'm usually there in the audience anyways. But also I said, as long as he was willing to agree to come on with me on my show a couple of days later, which is tonight. And so, you know, he agreed, and we figured, well, I was going to do the giveaway for this show, but he wanted to also do another giveaway on my show to my audience, which is really nice of him. So what he did is he just bought a Hulk page from me, and that's what we're going to give away now. The one that he bought, and he's going to buy it. He bought it just to give it away. So, guys, this is what we're going to do. What I want you guys to do, give me a second here, is in the chat, I want you, hold on. You know what? Let me show you, because I mean, we previewed it on next show, but let me show you what the page looks like. Let me hold on a second. Cue it up here. So we're gonna cue it up, and here we go. So this is the page. It's from Original Sin. Just so you guys know, the full title is Original Sin, Incredible Hulk versus Iron Man. Don't ask me why it's number 3.3. That's some weird Marvel thing they did. It was 4 issues, I think, and it was 3.1, 3.2, and 3.3, 3.4, something like that. So yeah, so what I want you guys to do is in the chat. Here we go. Let me put this up. I'm gonna want you to put in hashtag. Let's call it hashtag original sin all together. All right. And here, let me show it to you guys like that. Okay, so just type in hashtag original sin. All right, and then I'm gonna wait here. I'm gonna wait for you guys to just start typing all.
If you see another person with my last name, they're not related to me at all, I promise.
Yeah.
Dave Wilkins.
Hold on a second here. Let me take this off so we can come back to us. But yeah, so yeah, just type in hashtag original sin. And by the way, I'm giving you guys time because obviously there's that roughly 10-second delay before I even start seeing your comments. It's a 10-second delay that YouTube puts in. So we'll do that and we'll keep waiting for a little bit. I'll see how many we got in here. And once I think we've got everybody, and there's don't be shy, guys, by the way, if anybody's, I don't know, if any of you by any chance watching think that by doing this you might get spammed at a later point or anything like that, I promise you it's nothing like that. If you're wondering why Nick is giving away the page and why I'm going to give another page at the end of the show, it's just for promotion, to do fun things, to grow the hobby, get people excited, and have them tell other people and have them come in and watch.
Yeah, we want to grow the community together. We want to make this a big deal. This is the most fun, incredibly rewarding community out there. And the reality is on so many levels that it's going to be grassroots that gets more people in. And that was one of the reasons why I wanted to support Rubén, because he does a great job of just exciting people and getting them on board. It's why I wanted him to come on my show. Last year he did his first claim sale, and I asked him if he would give me a plug in an email, and he gave me a plug just for the heck of it, So if we all help each other, the hobby and the community will grow. And not enough people even understand or appreciate original art, which, as Rubén knows, why it's on when I do my shows. It's why I bring so many pieces at inexpensive prices, because we want to grow the community.
Yeah, try to get new people in all the time. And the best way to get new people sometimes, I think, is showing them that that the hobby doesn't necessarily have to be, with fronted by a huge financial barrier of entry, and that you can buy fun stuff for affordable prices.
Yeah, absolutely. It's not all those heritage numbers that we were throwing around, a segment or so back. It's you can get in the hobby at pretty much any level, especially if you want to get sketches. So I think it's great that you guys are doing this. I want to applaud you for it. And Nick, are your shows every Friday at 7? Is that the regular cadence on
every
those?
Friday? Although we're taking this Friday off because I'm going to be crying because I can't go to Heroes Con.
I wish you were there, Nick. I was hoping to meet you, but maybe another time.
Next year.
Another time. But after this Friday, including July 4th weekend, that Friday, we are on the air. Just took this upcoming Friday off so that we can prep a bunch of other stuff. And, at the same time, I'm lucky Rubén wanted me here. So this is nice. You guys are great. The fun thing about these shows is everybody's doing something different. None of us are competing against each other. We're all, in my opinion, enhancing each other because we're growing the market. And if we make the market bigger, it's just more fun, more things to do, more times to get together, more things to figure out. And we all benefit with an exciting hobby. And yeah, I mean, look, the heritage numbers are incredible. Comic Link had some great numbers. Metropolis with Comic Connect had great numbers. But if you look, you'll be able to find some jewels that you can afford. And even if you can't, that's what we're all doing. We're all making it affordable for the fans, and we want to grow. So let's spin that wheel.
All right,
mythical
guys. So
wheel.
this is my first time, as you guys know, only the second live stream I've ever done in my life. First time using this giveaway tool. So let me see, make sure I'm doing this correctly. All right, I'm gonna share the screen here. Share the screen. All righty, and it is the giveaway. All right, you guys seeing that now?
No.
I'm not seeing anything.
No? Okay, hold on.
Yeah, before Marcus gets us any webcam green boys and girls.
All right. Okay, you see where it says original sin and there's a button that says draw?
Yep.
Now we see
Yes,
it.
now we do.
All right, excellent. All right,
Ruben,
so
hit that button.
here we go.
In that wheel. Big money, big money. No whammies.
No whammies.
Slowing down, slowing down.
Oh,
White.
almost
White.
Marcus.
Oh, that
Chuck
was such
White,
a
baby.
tease. Those last three names felt like they were all winners to me. I slowed down.
Sorry. This is nothing. This is just a mistake. Sorry. It was Chuck White. No matter what happens here.
Oh,
there we go. Excellent.
go.
That's it.
Congratulations,
okay,
Chuck.
excellent.
Yeah,
Excellent.
congrats.
Hopefully we see that on. Hopefully you see that online. That would be awesome.
All right.
I'd love to leave a
Excellent.
comment.
Cool. So congratulations, Chuck White. And if I'm not mistaken, Chuck, I could be, but I have a feeling. Let me know if this is correct. Didn't you already win one of these giveaways on one of the Comic Art Live episodes? I almost feel like or on somebody else's show, perhaps. I don't know. Let me know.
The
It should
fix
be.
is in.
That'll be it.
But sorry, I just wanted to say, Chuck, that here, just want to pop it up for you. At the end of the show, or now, whenever you want, that's the email to just email me. Give me I need your obviously name, full address, and a contact phone number. That's for the package in case anything ever goes wrong with the shipment. And in the subject, just mark whatever the giveaway, so I know that it's from you. But be aware that it's to be emailed to me at Rubén the Dealer, not the collector as usual. It's the dealer since we're giving stuff away. Yeah, RubénTheDealer@gmail.com. And like I said, I'll as soon as you get that to me, I will in the next 24 to 48 hours get that out in the mail on behalf of Nick. So thank you again, Nick, for doing this. That was awesome of you.
It's my pleasure.
And again, Nick's show, 7:00 at the EXP. Check it out because like I was telling Nick on his show just the other night. And let me pop you back on here. There you go. For anybody who wants to check it out, 7:00 on Friday nights. Nick always says when he's on the show, "Oh, this is the best part of my week." To hang out. It's a great way to end the week. And the truth is, it really, really is. And I've been there since almost the beginning. So I've seen him and Kyle. That's his tech guy, the guy who does what I'm doing right now. Build the show from almost nothing or basically nothing to what's really become a lively and fun show in the last year or so, that since you have built it up, Nick. And yeah, it just goes to show what can happen with people sticking together, sticking at it, keep making the efforts to do this kind of stuff. And yeah, it's become actually even speaking for myself, and I don't even say this as a promo pump on behalf of Nick, it is actually a fun way to end the work week. It's Friday, you're already happy. It's kind of like, all right, the weekend's here. And then, all right, 7:00, chill for an hour with Nick and Kyle. It's just really a lot of fun. So for any of you who haven't checked that out, please do go and check it out. Give them a subscribe and a thumbs up. And as he always says, sharing is caring. Right?
Exactly. And remember, likes are free. Support is priceless. you know, and Ruben has
man-
been there from the beginning when it was just my mom and my brothers and my sister watching. It was
So Nick, on your shows, do you get in the chat and say hit those like buttons, or who's doing that for you on your shows? That's the question. Because you are the best cheerleader out there.
I'm really lucky. Mr. Red Jack, Jeff Wedding, Marcus, everybody really chimes in. Ruben, you know, the only thing Ruben never ribs me about is when I say we I truthfully tell everybody we give you prices not to speculate. Don't buy art on speculation. Buy it because you love it. I said you'll never be unhappy, and Ruben's always like, but what if I want to speculate? Are you going to stop me from speculating? It's like, I'm not saying you can't. And there are some art dealers that buy the art that I offer. So I know for the most part, that's going to be resold in 6 months. But what I'm saying is if you're coming into the hobby for the fun of it, enjoy the hobby. That's the one way you will be rewarded by being happy, and it's just a lot of fun. That's right, Ruben the speculator. So, and then Marcus will throw for $53 at speculation. So we'll do some crazy stuff sometimes. Like so far, every week since my mom's birthday, one show we did everything at $75 except for a cover. We did at $750 for my mom's 75th birthday, and then for my 53rd birthday, we did everything at $53 except for one cover at $530. Yeah. But every week I've brought in something at $53, something at $75. That's right, Ruben the YouTuber. I like that.
No, not it's the YouTuber.
Oh, it's do YouTuber. Yeah. Nice. So we have it really is a lot of fun. I actually, as crazy as it sounds, I don't do the show to make money. I do the show because it is just a chill place. And like I said, we bring artwork there to try and grow the community. And like Ruben said, the big goal is to get people to come in and realize, don't be afraid by big numbers. This is a fun community, and I send people to comic art fans every single time. And even on Bill's show now, there's like 6 or 7 people that watched us that now go to Dueling Dealers on Wednesdays and check out some of Bill's shows. Ronald Shepard and Larsman and other people. And that's the way to grow the community. I want all these guys to go on everybody's show. I want them to support everybody's show. I want to have a nice, concise Friday show where I get to chill out and I'm not sitting there going, oh my god, what am I going to get? I got 3 shows, I gotta do 3 hours tonight, whatever. I just want to have that 1 hour a week, and I want everybody else to grow. I want everything to grow, and I want us all to have fun. That's the only way we're going to have conversations like this, is if we're all enjoying what we're doing and finding the satisfaction in the art we buy.
Yeah, absolutely.
For sure.
Absolutely. All right. So with that, DD was on another little CJ comment. DD, by the way, CJ, thanks not only for coming today, which I've already thanked you, I know, but thank you for being so active with the comments. That's awesome.
Great story. Thanks for sharing that.
You're helping to keep it lively, and that's really appreciated. Thank you. So yeah, that's it. Nick, do you have anything else you want to add to that, or do you want me to kick you out, or what do you want me to do with you now?
I'll add this. Everybody, sincerely, if you're watching this later, it's never too late to hit that thumbs up. It helps Ruben's algorithm, which helps all of us. Do share the show when he's live, even if you share it later. Again, people can watch it and tune in every week for him. He's having fun. He's he worked hard to get here. Like he said last time, I don't remember if he said it tonight, but he taught himself everything and wasn't going to start again until he could do it on his own. So tune in on Sundays. If you end your week with me, kick off your week with Ruben.
Thank you, Nick. And David, the show's not actually over. We're like halfway.
Yeah, I'm out of here. These guys, I need to let these guys talk, because if I stay on here, the show will run 4 hours, not 3.
All right. I
So
appreciate it. Thanks for everything again,
See you,
Nick. I really
Nick.
appreciate
Thanks,
it, man.
Nick.
Appreciate
take
it.
care. Bye, guys.
Bye. Take care, bud. All right. Okay, cool. Well, that was awesome, really fun. I'm glad the software worked properly, the giveaway tool worked well. So cool. And congrats again, Chuck. So okay, so let's get back to the artwork, shall we? And so just to let you guys, the rest of you know, to remind you, there will be one more piece of art that I'll be giving away. It's another page of Hulk art. And I'll be giving that away at the end of the show. So let's hang in there, please. Thank you for hanging in this long. And as I see that we're already at 9:46, I think I can fairly say to you guys, not only thank you again for sticking with us for as long as they go, but also I can tell you that given where we are at this point in the show, this will be definitely going past 10 o'clock. And now that I've said that, I can relax and I don't have to sort of feel so pressured with
We're
that
not
whole
doing
time.
speed rounds now. Okay, I can relax. All right.
All right, guys. So yeah, next up at stepping up to the plate, we have back going into the semi-modern era, late 80s. Boom.
Oh man,
Ah, nice.
And let me get rid of that brand.
very underappreciated at the time. Now his artwork goes for pretty good chunk of change.
Pervs is a hole in my collection.
Yeah.
He's eluded me.
I really enjoyed his artwork when it came out. I really did.
Yeah, it was a fun run.
I
Definitely.
wasn't quite as appreciative of it early. I didn't hate it, but it didn't resonate with me right off the bat. But as I read it, and then especially as I went back and reread it, I really came to appreciate his style, and his line work is really strong, and he has a very distinct style. So yeah, I'll get one of these pages. Latner beat me to one recently.
Oh,
yeah.
that's yeah, okay.
I mean, he really didn't do anything else beyond this. He went back to Warner Brothers or something like that after his run on the Hulk.
Yeah, I don't know about Warner Brothers. I know that's what I had been hearing, that he was an animation guy, you know.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was Warner Brothers. I think because I used to actually shortly after his run, I was communicating with him for a while, but I really appreciate it. I thought it was great artwork.
Well, can I I just want to I do want to I don't know if I should say this, whatever, because of course people listening do actually oh, thank you so much, Stanley. Appreciate you showing up, man. Thank you, and thanks for commenting. That's very nice. Thank you. Yeah, I don't know. Look, you again, I gotta repeat it. You guys, I'm about being real. I'm honest. I got to be honest, and I got to say my feelings. And it's not to, sometimes it's, some people think it's, oh, maybe you shouldn't say that, whatever. I do want to say something about I say pervies because I'm not sure if it's pervies or pervs, whatever.
Wait a minute, Ruben. Let's do a timeout there. Don't you know all the pronunciations for all the artists? I mean, are we finding the first example where you don't?
No, there have been some. There have been others. I tend to try to find out from the horse's mouth when I can, right? But back in the day, I did speak to Jeff one time. But at the time, I was so caught up in trying to see if he would sell me some of his art. I wasn't thinking of, hey, by the way, tell me how you pronounce your name, and I did want to know, But no, I was so caught up with the art itself.
For years, he didn't sell any of it. He held on to his artwork for a good long time until he finally let it go.
I say that to you tongue in cheek, Ruben, but I do appreciate knowing the proper pronunciation. If I ever run into an artist at a show, I want to say his name correctly. For that reason, with a friend we put a podcast on my website and with Sal Buscema, and one of the things was from Sal. Sal, how do you pronounce your name? Because his name is pronounced very differently across the board, and he did say it's Sal Buscema. So if you want to hear it from Sal's mouth, I can share the link to a podcast we did several years ago.
That's why I've always been saying when I phonetically spell it for the crowd, BYOO for the Bu, and right, and then dash SEHM SEM, right, and then dash UH
Yeah.
right? That's how I've always done it, right? Because you know, it's always you got the guys with the buskama, bushkama,
Buscemi, Bushima,
bushkema, you know, the
Bushima.
whole shebang or whatever, right? So it's like, yeah.
He did
But
say
anyways,
that his name, the pronunciation was anglicized from what it originally was. So the
well, no,
original,
yes, right. I
you know,
figured
so
it was,
it
yeah.
has been changed. So that was a very interesting. So kind of from a technical perspective, some other people may be saying it correctly, but the way he currently pronounces it, and I believe his brother as well, their entire family is as you described it.
Yeah, I mean that's normal, of course. Back in the, and you know, here's an interesting thing actually. So years ago, like probably I don't know 20 or more maybe, early days of the internet, I knew that I had known since the 80s that it was Buscema, you know, at least for the family. But at the same time, knowing a little something about how, you know, foreign names are pronounced and from different, you know, backgrounds, I also knew, or at least I really strongly felt that the name had to have been changed somewhere along the way because, you know, I was doing searches and even just doing searches online, you couldn't find any Buscemas other than his family. You know what I mean? So I was like, so wow. So even nobody in Italy, you couldn't find any, and it was like, okay, that's kind of like where you start to realize it's one of those issues with, you know, Ellis Island or whatever, you know.
Yep.
Yeah, and that's ultimately what. Yeah, exactly, Marcus. Another Cohen situation. But what do you say, CJ? Sal gave me a little drawing lesson. Cool. Yeah, Sal's a nice guy. Exactly. But you're going. But yeah, but what I wanted to make the point before I forget, regarding Jeff Pervs or Pervies. So my feelings on his art. Okay, so at the time, I enjoyed it, right? I enjoyed the run. All these years later, you know, over time, and as I saw more art come out, you know, from an original art perspective, as opposed to looking at the comics, I have come to feel, and again, for those of you watching, you guys probably own some of you own some, and that's fine. We all have our likes and dislikes. What I have personally come to find is that even like today, at this point in time in my collecting, when I see his art, I really, really still dig his art when it's confined to the Hulk himself or even another super powered character, but particularly the Hulk. But I am not at all a fan of his regular human beings. It's regular people. I'm like, I find it very difficult to look at. But sorry if it offends anybody, but that's where I stand on his art today.
Art's an acquired taste.
Yeah, but I'm curious. What do you guys think?
I mean, I've always enjoyed it, regardless.
Yeah.
I you know, again, back then it was not very well liked, but I loved it since it first came out. But it's, you know, kind of like Liam Sharp. That's an acquired taste too. There's a lot of people who love his run on the Hulk, and there's a lot of people who hate his run on the Hulk.
Right.
Ted loves his run on the Hulk.
Yeah, I loved his run on the Hulk as well as my introduction to the character. So I really love the arc. Is there anything else I like as much as Sal's Hulk? No. But I do like it all. I don't have a distinct I like this, I don't like that.
Yeah.
But there is a huge jump for his Hulk stuff, absolutely. And I tried to put that link in there. I don't know if it went through or not. Because he talks a lot about that kind of stuff. So it's if you find this conversation interesting, it's probably worth a gander.
All right, sounds good. Let's move on now. Staying within that same more or less era. We'll pop
Gary Frank.
This one, early Gary Frank.
Yeah,
early Gary Frank.
Gary Frank is a big hole in my collection. That's one of the ones I'm still on the search for. A good.
Yeah, Steve and I talk about that often. I should get a couple of his pages, but obviously not a cover.
Yeah.
And Gary Frank I've talked about this online at different places before, but I was so disappointed when Dale left the title that anybody coming in, I think I was predisposed to not like, and it was, just an inclination.
Right.
But Gary quickly won me over. He really picked up the torch. I think there was a couple other artists in there between, but really picked up the torch from where the high level that Dale had left it, and really
Yeah.
surprisingly continued it to a point where I really liked it. I loved the storyline.
He's got really clean art. It's really, a big, massive Hulk. It's like his face is a lot different than you've seen in other artists, but I enjoy it. But
Yeah, I mean, for me, what I didn't like about this era, like I was still enjoying it, but I didn't like how far away from, and I guess I think you guys can relate to this because we all grew up on Sal's Hulk. I didn't like how far away they've gotten from that version of the Hulk in terms of, I mean, just the overall look, like, the, long tight pants with wearing a belt, his hair, especially quaffing the hair like he went to the salon every week. And it to me, that's not the Hulk. It's not representational to what we grew up with. Right. So, I didn't like that whole thing. And then later when he was wearing the wife beater, right. For a little while. For
I
you,
I think there's a lot of people, especially very traditional Hulk guys, and I know a couple that really fall into this camp that agree with you very strongly on that point.
Yep.
On which point? On what the things I just said about is aesthetic? Yeah.
Yes, the
Savage
aesthetic. They prefer the Savage Hulk, and I think coming off of a great long run of Sal's Savage Hulk, I think most of us were kind of in that camp, but Peter David's arc was so good, so well written. The stories were so fun, that it won me over. I was in the same camp at first, like, oh, why are you giving him these long pants? But the story fit the change in the visual, and it made sense, and it was done so well by Dale, and then later by Frank, that it wasn't very long until
Right.
after those great stories. I'm like, yeah, this works. I like
Yeah.
this. I can see where the story went. It's not hokey. It's not, because at first it does seem a little bit hokey, right? Compared to what you're used to seeing, but
Right.
you give it a few issues, and
I
I
think
was won over pretty quick.
kind of what Dave said. I think Peter David was a great writer, and I think he did a good job on matching the story to the artist who was on the book at the time and working from their strengths. Like when Lee and Sharp was on it, the stories were darker.
Yeah.
And that fit with his
and
art.
it fit the artwork, right?
Yes. So I think that he took the artist, what were the strengths, and worked to that. And Gary Frank is very good at that stylized look, and the story fit that look. So I think Peter David did a good job on that.
I think if you think about it, the Hulk, not being savage and mindless and, having an intelligence, you wouldn't expect it to look exactly like the Savage Hulk. It wouldn't fit quite as well. So I'm a fan. I do, my origin story for the Hulk goes back to Sal, and that will always be where my heart resides. But I'm a fan of the character. I'm a fan of the history.
Right.
You could say the same thing when Joe Fixit came along. My first inclination was, oh my gosh, what is this?
Yeah, exactly.
And then
but then you read them and you were like, oh man, these stories are actually pretty good.
Yeah, and then it's like,
Yeah.
okay, well, if the story works and it's well written, then the art should follow the story, and in both cases it did. So I'm a fan of the character through the 70s when I started reading it up till today. So
I'm still looking for a good Gary Frank. So again, like one of these, I've not pulled the trigger on a fill-in page for Gary Frank because there's enough out there that I'm waiting to get the one that I want, or a good one. So
Right.
We're trying to find Steve one, try to fill that hole for him.
All right, guys, let's check out the next piece, and that is also from around the same era ish. Let's check this. Bang.
Oh
wow.
Yeah. So one of the few pieces it's one of the few pieces I decided to add to the collection at the time that wasn't from any Hulk title, but obviously for obvious reasons, It wasn't. I knew I was probably never going to get another chance to own a Hulk Wolverine team up, or battle cover. So I was like, okay, got to get this.
This is great early double pager you don't see very often, and Dale's one of my top artists. He's in my handful of favorite Hulk artists to draw on the characters run. But he's the hardest to get, because the pages aren't out there, and they're just hard to get. They're expensive, or They don't come up very often. So anytime, and then when you've got, Wolverine versus a Hulk in any context, that's a huge draw. This is fantastic. I would love to see this one in person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think
It's definitely,
Wolverine was in every issue of Marvel Comics Presents, wasn't he? I think.
well, for a while, certainly.
Yeah.
For a certain long while, for sure,
That Marvel knew where their bread was buttered
That's
in
for
at
sure.
this time.
Well, that's absolutely for sure. Oh, and CJ, just to sorry, it's tough to sort of address every question or every comment. But I did catch that where you asked what did we feel about big head, small head? That's what we referred to, at least I referred to as the pinhead era. No, I personally, for me, no pinhead, please. It was just ridiculous. What do you guys say about?
I think, there's some people that did it well. Dale Keown, Gary Frank at the top of that list, and then there's some artists that didn't. I'd say that was probably one of the low spots for me as far as Hulk art is during that 90s period where Hulk had the super tiny waist, and then
Yeah.
had a human waist, and then had this overly muscular, upper torso with muscles that didn't make sense. That
Right.
they weren't anatomically even close to being correct, which is where a good Hulk artist kind of bends the rules a little bit, but stays close enough to where your mind says, yeah, that works. And then the spaghetti veins all over the arms,
Oh, yeah.
and then the head was way too small. That's
Yeah,
I would, yeah.
When it's too exaggerated, I mean, you can, and again, different artists have different styles, but when it's so exaggerated with the Hulk's head size so small, it just doesn't even look right. It just looks wrong.
Yeah, it's funny. Just a quick little sidebar with the because of the second time you first mentioned it, Dave, on last week's episode about the spaghetti veins, whatever. It's funny how different fans sort of interpret things that they see in the art, right? And then they sort of refer to it a certain way. I used to always bitch and complain about, like, I didn't call them cable veins, but I would say, why does it look like he's got like steel cables wrapped around his arms, like all over the place? That's what I looked at it as, It was just like so insane. It was too much. It's too much,
Yeah, I don't know where I heard spaghetti. I mean, I don't know if that was I read that or just what it looks like to me, but that's when it's done too much, and it doesn't make sense. It just looks like something's like worms or something under the skin. It doesn't. It was just, yeah.
All right, so guys, just to let you know, not only you, my friends in the studio, but also all the viewers, and for those of you watching on Rewind, there's still an even dozen pieces left. But for those of you rushing to want to get out of here, I just got to tell you, the last dozen pieces are by far the better pieces of this episode. So stick around because they get really good and solid here. And with that, let's why don't we just go on to the next one? And we're going back to the late 70s here, or mid to late 70s, I think. Here with this
Trippy.
Oh,
Trippy and Giacoya.
Yes.
Oh,
I actually have a couple pages from this issue as well. This is really good Trippy. I mean, I think by like when he did Annual 12, his style had changed a little bit to where it still was identifiable as her, but it didn't have quite that same nostalgic appeal to when he was actually drawing it on the main title.
yeah.
Right.
But yeah, this is a really fun one, and it ties into one of the Guardians movies with the introduction of that character. So this was him.
Yeah. I it's funny. A little connection story to this splash. So back in the day, and again, we're probably talking 2000, maybe 2001, right around that era. So the cover to this issue was also around at that time. Now, I personally didn't like it. So I could have bought it, but I didn't want it. Because my reason, I should give my reason, simply because a good portion of that cover has was it Warlock's Cocoon? I think it was Warlock's Cocoon on the cover, or whatever. Him, I guess when he was called him. And it just the composition just wasn't nice because of the cocoon taking too much of the center-ish portion of the image area. So I let that go. And it's funny that I wasn't back then. I wasn't the only one feeling that way. because in a matter of just a few years, I would say like less than 5, that cover had like jumped from owner to owner probably as many times, like 5 times or something. You know, it was just one of those things. People were like, there's better covers out there. I'll dump this one and buy another one, you know? So it's just funny. It's always funny for me to think back and just think about how people, you know, the mentality, how people thought about art in those days, you know?
You had some nice Kirby crackle on there too on that page. So.
Yeah, you could tell Herb loved, you know, Jack's art. His influence was all over his stuff. The crackle, the machinery there was very Kirby-esque. Loved Herb's stuff from that era.
I will say also that I was happy to get the splash because I actually prefer. This is one of those cases where I love the splash more than the cover.
All of Sal's run fits that description for me.
Okay, but don't forget. But Sal's run he only did, I think, 1 cover.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's it.
Gotcha. Slow on the take. All right, guys, let's hit the next one. You're gonna love this. I think you're gonna love this. I hope so. I'm sure you're gonna love this.
Claim.
That's
yeah.
Early page too. Oh man,
that's a great one, man.
Where the heck is this page, man?
I'd like to talk to current owner unknown.
Yeah, that's a nice splash.
That's great.
Leaping, man, that's a really nice page.
Yeah. You might want to look up the yellow pages. Maybe unknown is in there. You
know? You know what? It isn't beyond me to try.
This is a nice splash. So it's got that. I love that early Hulk look. I've got a few pages from Chick Stone as the inker, and I like his ink work on Sal.
Yeah.
His ink was good in these issues. He was putting the work in. Yeah.
I always enjoyed. To be honest, I mean, most of the run I kind of enjoyed. Here's another little sort of interesting, now that we you guys brought up inking over Sal. So back when I was collecting this stuff, right, it's very interesting. So I would, as long as the imagery was nice, I didn't, I had my preference of inkers, but I didn't, I was not going to necessarily turn down a piece because of whoever the inker was. And let's just bring us back here. Interestingly enough, just to show you how some collectors see certain things, there was a splash from, I want to say issue. Man, I don't forget. You guys would be better with the number at this point, because for me, I stopped paying attention and I'm losing memory of these things. But it was an issue either in the 2-teens or maybe early 220s. And it was an issue that was guest inked by Tom Palmer. Do you remember that?
That was he did one that was up to it was before the By Beast issue. I know it. Okay. I've got a couple pages from him too. Not major pages, just minor pages.
Okay. Yeah. Well, interestingly enough, I only bring it up because that the first page splash from that issue, that also hit the market back in the day. And I do love Tom Palmer. I've always loved him. He's one of my favorite inkers. But for whatever reason, in that issue, I just didn't like Palmer on Hulk. It didn't hit me. Wasn't a big fan of it. It still would have been like a nice addition to the collection, but the inking just detracted to me on over Sal enough that I said, you know what? I'm going to let somebody else have the one and have that one. And I passed on it.
Is that the splash where Hulk's getting shot? Where
I think, bullets. Yes.
Bullets coming off. I actually know where that one's at. And I tried to buy that many times and the owner was just graciously, declined. And I don't think it's on CAF anymore, but yeah, it's, you bring up the whole inking thing and, a lot of pencilers have a single inker that they identify with primarily, like their best inker or their longest tenure. Sal had so many inkers throughout his run. I mean, and sometimes issue to issue would be different inkers. If I ever talk to Sal, I'm going to ask him that question. Why did you have so many different inkers? Like my favorite issue is 227. It's the only Klaus issue he did on Hulk. They did Defenders, but so why was it Klaus and then Palmer, and then
or himself,
or himself for a stretch. He did say in that interview that I have why he did himself and he liked doing himself. That's, but why did you never settle into even like a 30 or 40 issue run where you had, the same inker? Because it seemed like it was either single issues, 5, 10, maybe 20, with later with Taliok and stuff like that. So I've always wondered about that is, because a lot of pencilers.
Yeah. Uh-oh. Did we lose Dave? I think we lost Dave.
It just, you just don't have that with Sal. You might have a favorite, but there is not one single guy that kind of just jumps out.
Yeah. Did you buy any channel? Oh, and by the way, CJ, no, not even Coletta. I own some pages inked by Coletta, and I clearly didn't pass on them because of Coletta. So no, I didn't pass. I may pass on a Coletta, if it was one of the uglier ink pages, but some of the stuff he has done, I give credit where credit is due. Some of the stuff he's done is nice. So yeah. Sorry, and did I just cut one of you guys off to answer?
No, I think CJ kind of where my guess is too, is, he was just so prolific, doing multiple books a month sometimes, probably just tough for inkers to keep up with him, month to month, maybe. Yeah. I don't know. It does interest me though. I've always been curious.
Dave, I knew actually, I interrupted myself. I wanted to ask, did you ever ask Sal, what was the deal with why on that supremely long run that you did never do the covers?
I did. Actually, I didn't, but the guy that did the podcast that, that did the podcast with Sal that I hosted on my site, which there's a link in there, but I think YouTube's blocking it because you probably have to authorize it. Basically, and I'm paraphrasing, he editorial was much tighter on covers than interiors. And so with covers, oftentimes you do a whole cover and then have to redraw it or redraw part of it. And Sal just said, I just didn't prefer to do the covers because they were under more scrutiny and they tended to change from the time the book started to, it was closer to end. And he's like, it's just a lot more work. And, he talks a little bit about Stan, and maybe he was, a little bit more involved with the covers than, the interiors. And that's why that was his explanation of it. Now, like I said, I'm paraphrasing, that's interview's been several years ago, but that was a question that was asked directly and he answered it.
You know what though, Dave, given his answer to that, I wish I could have also then known the answer to a follow-up question that I would have had at that point is then, okay, if that was the case, I would love to know then, why did you change your mind later on when, let's say a decade later, when he did his run on Spectacular Spider-Man and he did a shit ton of the covers as well as the interiors?
My assumption would be that editorial wasn't as tight back then. Maybe by that point he was like a tenured guy. Maybe I mean, not that he wasn't during Hulk, but maybe editorial had changed and given the artist a little bit more, free reign. And it seemed like you didn't see the kind of house style that you saw back in the 70s and early 80s was a little bit more adhered to than maybe, by the time it got to Spectacular, maybe they just, didn't put quite as much control on it. I don't know. I'm speculating.
Yeah, no worries. No, it's appreciated. I'm glad you give that anecdote. It's good information, All right, guys, let's move on to the next one. And that is going to be mid-80s era.
Classic cover. They changed it too.
Yeah, I've seen that.
They had to stat the cover. They decided, obviously the two lines of the split opening up, it just looks too weird having it, a straight line. So they made a stat of the cover and they cut out that stat.
Interesting.
Yeah, that is. I've seen that before. I'd forgotten about that. So yeah, I mean, come on, you're John's short run on the Hulk, a cover. I mean, that's a grail in most collections right there.
I mean, you got the Hulk and Bruce Banner.
Yeah. I mean that's so creative. It's been homaged, and this is very nice. I love this. Love this cover.
Yeah. Did you notice that? You said this is a to some people, of course, a grail in some collections. Did you remember this is now my second? I used to have two, right? Because in the last episode, I showed the other burned cover. So I had a third of them at that point. Yeah.
Oh, yet to be seen, I take it.
Say it again.
Yet to be seen, I take it.
No. What do you mean?
Oh, I thought you said you had three and you showed two. So
no, well, there was 6. and I've showed 2, so that's a third.
Oh,
I mean
okay.
a
You
third
said
as in 1/3,
oh,
Well,
gotcha.
it's-
Okay.
a fraction. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought you were saying you had a third cover. Got it.
Yeah. No. Yeah. So yeah, that was kind of a cool thing, And more. Nick says, I think that by the time the '90s hit, Marvel had so many books that Sal doing covers. Yeah, probably. And what do we got here? CJ says, yes, Marcus, roll them in, roll them if you have them. Cool. Yeah, so it was fun for me. I mean, at least I got 2 that I thought were pretty cool.
Yeah.
Because if you think about it, like with only 6 covers, when I was hoping that one would appear, at the time, I said to myself, man, I hope the one that comes out when it comes out, I hope it's not I hope it's not 319, the wedding issue, because I mean, look, I would have bought it anyways, right? It's one of those, but like any other one, and I'll take it. It is cool, But yeah, and then later on, the wedding cover 319, it did surface at some point, and yeah, it might be out there on CAF. I'm not sure, but
Yeah,
it's out there.
I've seen it recently. I'm not sure where.
Oh, really? Okay.
I know it's up there somewhere.
Okay, cool. All right, cool. So let's move on, and now we're going back to a rare Silver Age era piece. And I say this, by the way, everybody. I just wanted to mention, if you guys are wondering, those of you who watched the first episode last Sunday, and for those of you watching today, you might be wondering, but not asking, not many, you've had Trimpy, but not Trimpy from the 100s, none of that early stuff really, other than the TTA 90 First Abomination, and now the one I'm going to show. The reason is simple. So like Dave and Steve, Sal was my guy. So when I decided I was going to focus on Hulk art, what I wanted to do was I decided to, I got to start somewhere with a certain particular era. And I decided, okay, I'll start from 200 to 300. I said, originally I wanted to take the best covers and splashes from 2 to 300. Then, of course, I said, but I really liked the stuff in the 300 to 400 range as well. Why not just keep going, right? So then, of course, over time, it expanded. But ultimately, the ones in the 100s, I will say that while I do love to look at the early ones, I would say from 102, like into the, I would say the early to mid 130s. I love those. I love to look at them, especially the John Severin inked Trimpy issues. But while I love to look at that stuff, it was for me more of, it wasn't my era. For me, it was like later back issues that I would pick up. I have no connection to the stories because I never had time to read them, even when I bought them as back issues. So I guess given also the price that, back in those days when I was really focusing on building this collection, those covers, they were popping out like wildfire, right? I passed on, I would say 12 to 15 of those earlier Trimpy covers.
Wow.
And yeah, I mean, it was just a question of, again, not only is it not my era, but when they're in those days costing at the time anywhere from 3 to 4K, that's what they were going for. I was like, yeah, man, for that money, I can just buy more from the 200 to 300 or 400 run,
Yeah, there was a huge discrepancy
Yeah.
between Herb's Hulk and Sal's Hulk, which, both guys, huge long runs, but for some reason the market valued Herb's stuff a lot more than Sal's. I remember that.
Yeah.
I think it's ebbed back closer to equal, considering Herb's stuff was earlier, it skews a little higher for the really early stuff. But I've seen a change in collecting and what the market demands for both of those two artists. I can see probably say the same.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
and I just want to mention, just in case I don't want to forget for later, for the benefit of the viewing audience, going back to the hook, right, that I wrote on my promo piece for these 2 episodes about, the most incredible Hulk collection ever assembled. I want to mention that since you're not seeing any of the covers from the 100s, right, particularly the Trimpy stuff or Marie, the reason being that I had already passed on 12 to 15 of them when Mighty Mike Berkey, who I don't know, some of you may know, but a lot of you don't know, he is not only a Spider-Man collector extraordinaire, I believe he could correct us if he watches at some point. I believe in around 03, 04, something like that. He started to buy the Trimpy covers.
I've seen them.
Yeah, and he started picking up the ones that I had previously passed on, right? So he's got probably all of those. He's got a spectacular Hulk collection. And I believe still must have some from the 200s.
He has it all. He sold a very few of them. He's got a stack of them all.
Yeah. So the thing is he probably has, yes, he could absolutely win hands down for the world's best Hulk collection. The only thing is, Mike, and I speak to you, man, the man face to face now. If it ain't online and nobody knows about it, can anybody hear it smash? So, if you ever want to throw me some scans, I'll put them up and I'll do another 2 episodes just for your collection so people can judge.
Coming from the guy who hid the greatest Hulk collection of all time for 20 years.
I will say Dave and I are available for future shows with other Hulk artwork.
Yeah.
But Hulk latest stuff is to me, it's preferred, yeah. But that's Christmas too. Okay.
Turkey.
Oh, right. True. Very true.
Christmas
Collects Christmas. Yeah. So, but that's it. Yeah. You ever want to do something to show it, Mike? I suggest you show it.
So this was a big setup for a Herb piece, I'm assuming, right?
Yeah. Maybe.
No. Let's put it up and you'll see what it is.
All right.
It's actually, I'll say before I show it, it happens to be the first page splash to my favorite all-time cover from 102 to 199. Okay. And
Murray.
Where is it? And here we go.
Yeah, Murray. Yeah.
Oh yeah. I love Murray's stuff.
Yeah.
She's on my bucket list too. Although that may not be attainable anymore. Yeah, that's really good.
That is nice.
Tusca Inks. Huh.
Wow. The monster.
Is this current owner unknown as well? Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
The Monster Unleashed.
Yeah.
Monster. Love that.
Yeah, I got to tell you, I mean, I don't know if you remember. You must remember. The cover. To me, I always said, even as a kid, right, when I first discovered it in the back issue bins of my local, that first store I discovered it as a 12-year-old, and it was also the first Hulk back issue I bought. That was one of the earliest, and it was the first back issue I bought from the 100s. When it was like a $6 near mint Overstreet book, and it was a 50% sale, and I got it for $3. I still remember that.
That's awesome. Yeah, these issues have what I call backstock nostalgia, right? There's a different nostalgia that comes from pulling it off the spinner rack, reading it like quote unquote real time, waiting for the next issue. There's a different nostalgia with like digging and pulling, and I had to save this money up, and my dad would take me to the shop and they'd throw the box in front of me from the back, and so these have very different, but yeah, these distinct Hulk issues. And then later I found out about the Tales issues, which I didn't even know that there was, like, why did they start with 102? But yeah, they're very different nostalgia for me, but nostalgic nonetheless.
I just wanted to say that this cover, so 105, I always felt, even from as a 12-year-old, that first year I got in and I discovered it, I always told myself, man, this should have been the 102 cover, the first issue. It just feels like, right, he's coming out from under the street or whatever, the concrete and the pavement's all ripping up or whatever. And oh man, it's just so good. That should have been the first issue cover. That's what it really looks like. Speaking
of placeholders, I have 3 copies of 102, right?
Really?
So I got one kind of a VG, and then somewhere and then so finally I got one that was, very fine or better. I'm not a big grader guy, but I did buy placeholders with comics.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, guys, let's move it along to Great Era.
Well, Jim Starlin.
Yeah. And I'm sorry, I got to apologize off the bat for everybody, for you guys, and to the viewing audience. somehow, somewhere along the way, I lost the scan I had that didn't have my one of my earliest watermarks going up diagonally like that. It's the only one I could have. So sorry about that.
This is the art in this is so spectacular, and it's kind
Yeah.
of a little divergent from kind of the house style at the time, but so good. I mean, the art is just, and it's kind of a creepy story,
Yeah,
which
a little bit of
was
cannibalism.
was awesome. It was an
Yeah.
awesome departure, kind of another fill-in type thing. But man, the art on this is just, that page right there, I would love to have a great example from this issue.
It's early Jim. It's not like Jim Starlin cosmic look. It's his earlier, it's a little earlier. So you still see Jim Starlin in there, but it's not as traditional.
But it
Yeah.
reminds me of some of his magazine work, that was really appealing to me too. There's a couple painted pieces that I would kill for. But yeah, this
Oh
was,
yeah, yeah. I know what
yeah,
you're talking
you
about.
know what
Yeah.
I'm talking about.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
kind of has the same look with the eyes and
Yeah.
the kind of
Yeah.
maniacal face. I would really like to have an example. And I think a couple of these have popped up over the years. But
Yeah.
when I was early in collecting, I'd look at it and say, "Oh, that's nice," but for that I could get a Sal page. And so I was
Right.
kind of like, no, I'm going to go for the Sal, and now I have so many Sal pages that I think I wish I would have just stepped aside on a Sal back then and said, let's get a Starlin. But yeah,
Yeah.
his stuff is so good. I
Yeah.
love the art on that story.
It's such a classic creepy story.
Yeah. I
is.
do gotta admit though, I will say another issue, by the way, that for whatever reason, not many pages have ever come out. The splash, the sort of extra oomph that it had for me was because as a massive a fan of Alcala as I've always been my entire life, he is not the guy that I would have stylistically put onto Starlin. But I want to say that on the splash, he did a really nice job. But in the rest of the book, the rest of the pages look much more Alcala influenced. So it seems like for the splash, either the pencils may have been much tighter by Jim, or maybe Alfredo just decided to sort of follow the line more and not put much, so much more of his style into it, But yeah, the panel pages definitely look much more Alcala-ish, even though the physique, the body, physique you can tell it looks like it's got that Starlin look, but the finishes, the ink finishes, you can tell it's much more Alcala, than on the splash. And what does Nick say here? Had a Savage Hulk 3 by style. Oh, right. You got to go check out his show, man.
I do. I knew I needed to see that show, and I literally couldn't because I was driving. I'll remedy that, Nick. I'll get on there.
That's cool. All right, guys, let us take another look at yes, our favorite era. And yes, again, once more, I did own this one too.
Yeah, this
That's
one's
nice.
online. This is
Yeah.
Joe Viteri. Yeah, okay. So I have a little bit of history with this one. So you saw the closing splash to the issue before this, then this is essentially the same scene from a different, an up shot versus a down shot.
Exactly.
And I remember being heartbroken on the 228 splash. I went into that last week. I won't go over it again.
Right.
And then so that from that period of time between where I lost the page at auction and then the couple years or whatever it took to kind of track it down, this page became available. And it became available. It was online. It bounced a little bit. Maybe one or two people. I think Joe and maybe one other person had this for a stretch, and I considered it, because it's part of my favorite story. It's it's obviously literally consecutive images in the run,
right.
And this is an example where I did not buy the placeholder. This would have been a placeholder for the 228 splash for me, because the 228 to me is far superior to this. Same scene.
I agree.
Different inker. And I just think it's not as dynamic. It's, you put them side by side, I don't think there's any question.
No.
Yeah.
And I remember even somebody threw a number at me and I said, I got to pass. And I'm glad I did, because if I had bought this, I probably would have given up the chase on the 228 splash. So a good example of you know, taking the Rubén advice. You know, I didn't ask for it, but you know,
Yeah.
I did take
Oh,
it in this
it's
case.
for whatever it's worth, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
But sometimes, yeah, sometimes you have to, you know,
Yeah.
you have to pass on the placeholder, and sometimes, you know, you
Yeah.
pull the trigger.
Yeah.
And I passed on that one.
Yeah, but I agree with you wholly. So when I had all this stuff together and I would flip through them, right? I said exactly your thoughts. I mean, look, it's pretty clear. I mean, I'd be hard. I think you'd be hard pressed to find somebody who didn't agree that the other one is the far superior one. The interesting thing about it is like, and this falls into that whole sort of topic that I've mentioned this before in conversations. Embarrassment of riches. Okay, that's how I like to put it, because if I hadn't had the greater one, right, and only this one suddenly came up, I'd be flipping my lid, like, oh my god, look at this one. This is like, so this one is really out there. It's up there, top tier. It's a top tier splash. It's just that when you know there's another one that is even better, right? You just can't help thinking, oh, okay, well that one's, you know, it's not as good. It's not as dynamic or what, you know what I mean? Like it's just, it's
So
funny how we perceive things, you know?
Do you remember which one you owned first?
I do not, and I knew one of you was going to ask that, and I don't remember. I don't remember. Nah, but yeah, gosh, man, I do remember the feeling of thinking, oh my god, I already have that one. Oh shit, I gotta get this one too.
Yeah.
You know, like how
Yeah.
cool would that be, right?
I thought about getting it again too, but you know, once again, I thought, you know, so I'll get something different from a different part of the arc. But yeah, it's a great cover. I would have been thrilled to have it. I mean, it's great, but to me, it was just like, even just as reading the book, it's a different dynamic reading it as a cliffhanger, right?
Right.
Because the story had built, and then that was the crescendo, you know, the cliffhanger, and then the next issue, you read it, and then you can flip the page and see what happens. So you know, it doesn't hold you as long on an opening as it does a closing splash, and that's just from like pulling it off the spinner rack and doing this
Yeah.
right in the you know, in the thing.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah,
For sure. Cool. All right, guys. Just to let you viewers know, thank you again for sticking with me and hanging in there. I know it's been going long, a little over 2.5 hours, but just so you guys know, we are I think maybe five, a handful of pieces left to go, and then we'll get there. Okay. And yeah, CJ, that's that whole little Moonstone storyline that was
you need to
great
give a
stuff.
plug to watch your last episode, CJ.
Yeah.
You need to go check that out, because there's a lot of good story, a lot of good conversation.
You mean oh yeah, the previous episode? Yeah, CJ.
Yeah.
Go back on go stay on my channel later if you want and look at the other video. It's pretty cool. Okay, so let us move to the mid 80s here with one of my all-time favorite artists, not known for Hulk really, but
Yeah, like Zach.
Oh, yes. That is awesome.
yeah,
That's a nice cover.
That's fantastic.
Yeah. Zach is a really good artist.
Zek's finally getting his due. I think he was one of those artists that nobody would have argued that he wasn't great, but kind of one of those that kind of seemed to linger below his ability in terms of market appreciation. But obviously the recent results have changed that dramatically. But that's a great Hulk. That's just great Hulk abomination.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, Mike's run on Captain America, that Deathlock.
Oh god.
That was like, that's one of my favorite like storylines of all time. I just
and this is stylistically right in that same vein, as far as, you know, the use of shadows and lines. It was very, very reminiscent of those covers as well. It totally tangent, but I was talking to Aaron Lepresti. I think he did a cover that's almost this exact layout. It's funny, and asking him like, hey, were you inspired by the Zek? And he wasn't, you know. So it's funny how sometimes artists will draw almost the same thing,
right?
It just, you know, completely, you know, without seeing another thing. Because I saw it and I was like, oh, that's a great homage. He must have loved the cover, and you know, it wasn't, from my recollection.
I wonder if sometimes they just they get tired of being asked, and maybe they just don't want to admit that it was an homage.
Yeah,
you know?
It's hard to say. I think it could go either way.
Yeah. That's a great cover.
Yeah, I
But
love that
no, I
one.
loved it, and you know, much like that whole modern era Hulk Thor cover that I picked up. You know, this one, not only, you know, I'm also a you know, lifelong Mike Zeck fan, and of course a lifelong Hulk Abomination fan, my favorite villain. I'm like, how, you know, there's no way I could pass up a cover like this, like him fighting my favorite, you know, the Hulk foe. I mean, it was, yeah, too good, you know. So, Jesus, black and white look so much better than color to me. Yeah, me too. I don't. Those browns are kind of hideous. I admit it.
Yeah.
Yeah, for
You
sure.
kind of
Man.
lose the Hulk in those browns.
Yeah,
there.
it's too dark. Yeah.
Thanks for dropping by the way, Jesus. I appreciate it, man. And yeah, I mean, and you're right. Zach is I mean, in terms of prices of his art, you can tell he's getting his due for sure.
Yeah.
My God, I mean, all this Captain Americas. Have you guys seen some of those cap covers that, like, in the last, I don't know, 6 to 12 months or what? Like, there's been a couple that have been like in the high, I want to say high 5 figures. I don't know if one of them hit 6.
Yeah, I don't follow it, so I couldn't tell you.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm not surprised. You
But
know,
yeah,
not surprised.
it's yeah, fabulous stuff. All right, let us move on. Ooh, one of my all-time favorites, and it's not Sal. God, I missed this one. All right, guys, get ready for this. I know you'll love it.
Oh.
So, Ruben, I sent you a picture. I don't know if you have that queued up.
You sent me a picture?
Yeah, like I think it was a week ago or so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I own this one. This one's mine.
But you sent, what do you mean? You sent me a picture of what?
I sent you a picture of me holding this when I met Dale Keown.
Oh, you mean a photo? Yeah. Okay, sorry.
And then Steve holding a Keown page when we went and met him. Now that's another plug to go back and check out last episode of this show, the Rubén DaCollector show. So we went and met Dale, and I had him sign this. I don't know if he had already signed it. I can't remember. I got a picture. Yeah,
I think because he signed both of them.
Did he sign them? I can't remember. To me, it was more about meeting him and getting a picture with them. Meant more than the signature. But yeah, this is a grail. This is a cornerstone. Yeah. This is a permanent collection, whatever you want to call it. You know.
But you look at this, like you got the flesh, you've got blood. It's kind of a bloody picture there.
I love it. And, you know,
having
the original pencil and inked piece is, you know. This is one of those ones that I couldn't believe I had.
Yeah, it's, you know, Marcus. It says mine, which is perfect, right, Dave? Mine.
It is mine.
But yeah. So this is when I owned it. This was a piece that. So I would stare at it, right? And don't forget, I had that cover with the Super Scroll.
Yeah.
Also, right at the same time, but. I looked at this splash and I would say to myself, and again, it's not about back padding and whatever, trying to say I'm boasting or whatever. Okay. We all feel what we feel when we look. And I would look at that piece and I would say, you know what? If it wasn't for the fact that there's, you know, and that in this hobby, at least, there's a pronounced differentiation between, well, you know, this is a cover and that's a splash. And so the cover is always better. I got to say, to me, that's arguably, of course, that could easily have gone down as the best Keown Hulk piece of his run. You could argue, you may not win the argument, but you could definitely legitimately argue that splash is better than any of the covers.
I agree with you, and that's one of the reasons I bought it. It's, to me, that's like the perfect intersection of great art and great story, right? This is when the Gray Hulk had been in the comic for, you know, a very long time, and the storyline came that the Green Hulk was coming back, right? And this is the one that we all loved as much as we loved other stuff like the Pinhead Hulk, the Smart Hulk Professor, whatever you want to call it. For all of us longtime fans who had been hoping, you know, it's still enjoying it, you know, the story because it was so well done. This was that perfect cross section of story and just a, you know, and then a page that just blows you away. You know, the blood, the full splash, he did 3 instances of this page. Two
Right.
of the other 2 didn't. It was basically.
Yeah, I'm
I
aware.
can't remember if he did it because he just wanted to experiment. Like he gave them all 3 to Marvel and said, "Which pick one to publish," and they
Right.
chose, in my opinion, the right one to publish.
Right.
But yeah, to me, it was like it's that image, and this is, my favorite. This is better than, in my opinion, a lot of the covers that Dale did, which is saying
Oh,
something because all his
Right.
covers were outstanding. So
Right. Right.
to me,
Right.
the Dale run is about that page. When Green Hulk comes back, and then subsequently when he battles with the Gray Hulk in the Mindscape, and
Right.
stuff like that, and then the other side that is like 1 and 1A, whichever, I don't know, is the completely opposite, which is the Hulk with the wife beater, with the mega guns, with the big,
Bunny
bullets, the bunny slippers.
You
To
mean
me,
the Punisher cover?
No,
not
no,
the
That's
cover.
that's what I call it, where he's got the
No,
Yeah, no,
ammo
yeah,
belt and the firing the gun. I
yeah.
hated that, by the way.
No, I loved it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
I loved both, and it's so funny because they're almost, a lot of people see them as diametrically opposed, right? You
Right.
can't like one. You have a lot of guys that are, don't like one like the other. To me, I like and love both of them. Those are my 2 favorite instances from the run, as far as the just pure visuals, is the
Yep.
Hulk Green coming back, and then there's a couple, 2 or 3 of the as you call it, the Punisher Hulk, and then the one cover sold on Comic Link for what, 94 grand a couple
Yeah.
years ago. So obviously that's a
Yeah.
very, very sentimental piece and nostalgic with a lot of people. But those are my 2 favorite, if I just kind of visually in my mind. I lean to the Green Hulk just because that's where my roots are, but both of them are pretty much equal. Just ask me on a different day which one I like better.
Yeah, no, for sure. For sure. All right. So let us move along now again to the next page. Thanks for sticking with us, everybody. We're actually down to our last 3 pieces. And here is our next one.
Ooh.
Wow, they are getting better, aren't they?
Yeah.
Wow.
Man.
Is that a vellum piece?
It is a
Ruben?
vellum piece, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But it was nicely mounted on that nice board, and professionally done. So with the fake stats or whatever, the remade stats. So it looked nice. I typically wouldn't have bought vellum back in those days, but when it's professionally mounted like that, it's fantastic. It's
That
beautiful.
line work is so much better without the colors too. I mean,
yeah. Oh, God, yeah.
It's just the palette there. I'm just not so sure about, and even the pants don't match the era really. So yeah, that's fantastic.
I love the Jarella storylines. I mean, it's great.
Havoc at the Heart of the Atom. That was one of the all-time best Hulk stories as far as fan response goes. That's a huge one.
I mean, you get the, I mean, it's only a few episodes after this that he loses Jarella,
Yeah.
Classic. Love of his life, he loses her.
Yeah, and
that's right.
In this example, a lot of the like we talked about Sal not doing the covers, a lot of the covers, while nostalgic, I think were lesser because Sal didn't do them. This is not one example. This is beautiful, well done, pays great to the interiors, lines well. It's just, this is perfect. This is a perfect Hulk cover in my opinion.
Oh, that's pretty high praise, Dave. Wow.
No, I would love to have something like this. That's definition of a grail for a early 200s Hulk cover for me. Yep.
Fabulous. All right, guys. Well, down to our last 2. And by the way, just FYI, because I don't want anybody judging, because you said, oh, they are getting better. I didn't say it was my idea of getting better, all the way through. I'm just saying the last 12 generally were better. It doesn't mean that my last one is going to be the absolute clear best one. So I'm just saying
you're setting the expectations high.
Yeah.
The bar is high, Ruben.
No, you guys are. I'm trying to calm it down so the fans watching are not going to.
Don't calm it down. Just go. Just put it up. Let's go.
All right. Okay. So let us go to our last 2. And guys, thank you again for tuning in and sticking around. Just remember, right after we show our last one, I will do the second and final original art giveaway. All right, so let's check out the second to last piece.
Oh, nice. Look at Ron Wilson.
Yeah,
That is fantastic.
that's another great cover. Man, you had some great covers, early covers.
225.
Wow.
That's
Yeah.
like 2 issues before I started reading, and I this is probably one I found as a back issue on the spinner rack, because it, it it was crazy how sometimes stuff would hang around on spinner racks. When I bought my first issue, I think this is one I was able to grab as a back issue, but still kind of as a new buy. But this is, yeah, I love this.
Great leader storyline.
Yeah,
Man,
I have a page from this one.
Oh, do you?
great
Yeah.
story.
Hmm.
Oh, that from 225. You know what? I may have owned the page you own. I'd have to look at
It wasn't a splash. It's a
No,
panel.
no. But it was. I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Although this 2-part Hulk extravaganza that I'm doing is focused, 99% on covers and splashes. I did have, well, even other than the 3 or 4 panel pages I did show, all together with last week's episode plus this one combined. I did have, I don't know, I don't even remember honestly how many panel pages I had. It wasn't a ton, but I want to say maybe I had somewhere between 25 and 30, something like that.
All Sal or just varying ones?
Primarily from the Sal era, yeah.
Yeah.
The Sal era, yeah.
But this is just another example. I mean, this really holds, up to the high level of the covers. Like, this is really, really well done. I mean, I was very picky. Like there were some Milgram covers that I liked, and there were some Milgram covers that I didn't like. Just being honest, and I was very picky when it came to art, especially when it wasn't Sal. This was a cover that I loved, even though it wasn't Sal or Ramita or
Right.
Ernie Chan or somebody to that
Yeah,
level.
yeah. No, I got you there. Yeah, for sure. All right, everybody. Well, that brings
The
us
drum
to
roll. Yeah.
our last one, final piece of the evening. And I thought the reason I put it last is at the time in my heart, I think at the time it was my favorite cover because of the content. So, and what I mean by that specifically is that it's Hulk. By the way, you're going to see it's not a big Hulk at all. It's almost like that airplane Hulk, but it's Hulk guest stars, and by, I guess, classic, it's a Trimpy.
Okay, so before you show it, I had this question kind of queued up for you, and I'm going to let you think about it through the conversation on this.
Okay.
I'm going to put you on the spot. Of all the pages, the pieces you've shown this week and last, I want you to tell me what your number one was.
Holy crap! I don't think it's good. I honestly don't. Are you kidding?
Give me 2 or 3.
You want me to tell you now?
No.
You can think about it.
Let's see this last one. Think about it.
The show is pretty long already, so yeah. No, I didn't. I couldn't. I tell my
you can pick one tonight, and then you can tell me it's different next week. That's fine.
Excellent. Okay. I'll think about it. Sounds good.
Right.
Fair enough. All right. So we don't keep all you guys from going to sleep to work tomorrow. Okay. All right, guys. And this is the final one. I think this may even have been out there at some point and then taken offline. I'm not sure. But here we go.
Oh,
yes.
What the hell? Come on.
Yes, this one has been out there, and actually there was a different version of this one that was done too.
Yeah.
I think it was.
Well, I think you might be confusing the
prelim.
207. There was a 207 Cockrum cover, and it also had a tank, and there was an unpublished and a published. Maybe that's what you're thinking.
Maybe I am thinking of that one because I think it was. Yeah, I think you're right. I think it was a prelim, a real tight prelim. Kevin's got a great Hulk. He's got some great Hulk pieces in his collection.
Sorry, who?
Yeah. Kevin, the owner on this one.
Yeah, Kevin Margits.
Yeah.
I mean, it's Sal and cover. What more do you want? I mean, really.
I mean, it's Moonstone, it's Samson, it's Hulk throwing a tank. I mean, it's this is
great dynamics to the image for sure.
Yeah, I mean, that's ultimately for me, is it the best cover? Probably not. For me at the time, it was representational, right? So it was, yes, of course I would love, on the ultimate cover for the Hulk to be large and full figured, right? But as small as he is, I love the pose and the fact. Oh God, and I just noticed I screwed up. I forgot to change the artist names. What an idiot! Sorry, guys. So I did two big foo-bars. All right. Yeah, I mean, it just was so representational of everything that the Hulk meant to me, right? This powerful behemoth, the whole thing that goes all the way back to his origin, where the army, okay, attack him, always being hounded by Thunderbolt Ross's army constantly throughout his history. So throwing a tank is just, it's almost like, I don't know for all of you guys who are familiar with really old strip art as I am, it's like the old Crazy Cat strips where you want the best strip example from Crazy Cat, it has to contain Crazy throwing a brick, and it's the same thing. It's just throwing a tank. And at the time, my favorite guest star, Doc Samson. Oh, God, I loved him, and of course, another guest star, Moonstone. At the time, I mean, she was obviously a nobody. She's more of a somebody today, but at the time, she was a brand new character. Nobody cared. But to me, it was, I don't know, she was just really cool. And I just thought it was, I don't know, it was just fun. It just represents fun to me. And Marvel's TV sensation, of course, I was sensationalized by that TV show.
Absolutely.
So,
it's funny that the correlation where Marvel crossed over between the Hulk comic and the Hulk TV show. I loved it and hated it at the same time. I loved seeing Hulk get so much play, but I remember just some of the subtle differences between the show and the comic, because I was a comic first guy. It was some of that really bothered me, like Hulk bleeding when he got shot. I remember. He doesn't bleed. What's going on here? But at the same time, I was able to. I love the show so much. So yeah, these are real nostalgic when you see that the TV sensation on there hits the nostalgia button pretty hard.
Yeah, and for me, not only that, but it's one of those times where I don't like it better than the original art, but I really always loved the colors, the green and purple on Hulk and the green hair of Samson, the blues, for the sky, and the whole thing. It just stood out. I like the grays on the tank. So this is one where I always loved the color and the black and white.
Completely agree. This colors were very well very well done on these, and we could go into a whole dissertation about the color of the Hulk's pants. What was
very hardcore people who feel very strongly about those pant colors.
Yes.
Yeah. So there you go. We've come to the end of our show, everyone. Thank you again for sticking around. So the final thing we're going to do, of course, as promised, is I'm going to do another original art giveaway of another Hulk page. So let me actually pop that up on screen just so you see what you'll be getting if you win it. And that is, this time it's from it's also by Mark Bagley and Andrew Hennessy, but it's from the not from Original Sin, but rather from the 2014 Jerry Duggan written series, where the Hulk is basically he's I don't want to give spoilers because it's a really good series, only 15 or 16 issues long. Hulk's like dying, he's dying a slow death, and he's trying to find cures for all the different Hulk powered characters that are out there to depower them, so on and so forth. It doesn't, I can't give it any justice. It doesn't sound exciting when you explain what it's about, but it's a really fun series to read, really enjoyable. And
at the time also there was so many Hulk characters, it was a good way for them to kind of get, because you can't have a whole world full of 8 different Hulks, She-Hulk, She-Hulk, Abomination. So there were so many. It was a good way to clean the system and kind of get rid of some of those Hulk characters.
Yeah, which, if you ask me, I mean, they should never have been introduced. I hate when they keep diluting the original characters by introducing different versions of them. I'm not a fan of that in the first place, So, and Ted, no, sorry, but I'm a fan of whatever eras I'm a fan of, and I mean, believe me, I would have loved to have gotten a Ditko page and a Kirby page. It just wasn't in the cards for me at the time. So, Yeah, that's
Ted can share a Ditko page with us. How's that?
exactly. But all right, guys, let's move this off the screen. We'll come back here now that you've seen what it is. So everybody, what I want you to do this time is it's very simple. I want you to type into the chat hashtag Hulk. Here, I'll show it. I'll pop it on screen so it's easy. There you go. That's what I want you to pop into the chat, and I'll wait for you guys to do it. I'll give you guys a minute or two to get as many of the entries as we can. Thanks again for sticking around. I really appreciate it, especially on Father's Day. And please, for those of you after I do the draw and I announce the winner, just stick around a few more seconds after we sign off and say bye. Just for a few seconds, I will show you some information as to a little bit as to what's coming up on next Sunday's show. All right. Keep them coming, guys. I mean, there's only half of you that are there now have so far entered comments. Entered bought your raffle ticket, if you will. So, okay, there's a few more. Okay, there's another couple. Mind you, of course, I know we're on that 10-second delay thing that YouTube does, so that's also
a great chance to get some free art. This is
part of it.
Great
Yeah,
odds. Great.
it's
It's
a
a
nice
couple nice Bagley pages and some great odds. This is awesome.
Yeah, I think why not, right? I mean that's like if anybody's wondering, it's $250 to $300 piece, whatever, $275, something in that range.
I was late
nice
to
piece.
getting Bagley art in my collection. I got a couple Thunderbolts pages with, ironically, a couple with Moonstone. So
yeah, nice. All right, guys. Well, it looks like there could possibly be. Oh, there's another one. Late stragglers. Come on, guys. I'm thinking there's like 6 more of you who may be on the channel but busy doing Father's Day stuff, and I don't know. But I gotta get this going. So I think I'm gonna give you a few more. Okay, now suddenly we got 2 more coming in. There's 5 more of you are actually on the channel. Whether you're in front of the screen or not, I don't know. But there's now 5 more.
I'm sure the people that have already entered are clamoring for you just to go ahead and spin
I
the
know
wheel.
they're dying. Like, come on, just improve my odds,
No.
But okay, let me go to the giveaway screen here. And okay, give me a sec. Feel free to talk amongst yourselves.
I was amazed at how many covers you had. I mean, that was especially those early covers.
I think it just shows how much easier it was to get these premium pieces back in this time frame, especially covers. That's the biggest difference in my collection than a lot of collectors that were back then. People have more covers if you were collecting earlier.
I mean, and it just amazes me that how many of these we've not seen,
right,
at all.
Right,
classic.
All right, so I think we're gonna go for it. But hold on a second, guys. Sorry, we're almost done here, but I just want you to know. It's funny because it's telling me there's. Okay, I see what's going on. Some of the comments are not hashtag Hulk. That's why I understand. Okay, it's weird. Not a lot of people put the comments, but that's cool. Let us go to do the draw. Let me share my screen with you guys so you see that I'm not cheating anybody or picking myself and deciding on who's going to do it. Here we go. Share again. And one last one. All right. You guys see that?
Yep.
Cool. So only 14 of you. So the odds are improved. Greatly improved.
Good odds.
Let's do this. Wow.
Yeah.
Jesus,
congratulations.
Wow. Oh my gosh. So
awesome.
So first of all, congratulations, Jesus. So I gotta stop sharing the screen first of all. So I gotta tell you guys, so Jesus is a regular in Nick's on Nick's show every Friday night, right? Not only that, but it's obviously it's only my second episode, but so it's the first time coming over to my show. And so he's lucky because it's the first time. But he also, and Jesus, you can tell me, if I'm wrong or not, but I'm pretty sure you won on one of Nick's previous giveaways. So you're like, I think you're like a really huge winner. Oh my gosh.
That's the way to build a collection right there. I haven't won a page.
Wow. Wow. Well, congratulations, Jesus. That's awesome. Let me put up the instructions for you here. Oh, sorry. That's Nick. Well, good plug from Nick for anybody else. Last chance to go to check out Nick on Friday nights at 7 o'clock on youtube.com.exp or /theexp. Jesus, for you, email me later after the show at Rubén the Dealer. Okay, don't mix it up with the Collector. Just for this giveaway, email me at rubenthedealer@gmail.com. Give me your name, address, and a contact phone number, and yeah, I'll get the page out to you like in the next couple days or so. Maybe even tomorrow if I've got some time. Okay, and so that's it. Thank you so much. It was here he's telling us I've claimed the bit, but no free. Okay, no free art. My mistake. Sorry. But I'm so it's your first time. Thank you. Excellent.
Congratulations.
Thank you for coming by, man.
Yeah.
That's you did good by coming by. So yeah, guys, first to you both one more time. Thank you so much. Loved having you here. And like I said, I wouldn't have wanted to do it with anybody else. So I'm glad you both said yes. Both, not once, but twice. So it's been my pleasure, really, truly. It's been so much fun.
Thanks for the invite. It's fat.
Yeah.
It's
Thanks,
fun.
guys.
Just
Talking
seeing
about
some of
this
that
stuff
classic artwork. It's
Yeah.
just amazing.
I thought it would be fun for everybody, including you guys, right? So, yeah, I appreciate you doing it so much, though, because it wouldn't have been the same if it was just me, you know? So, yeah, I can't tell you how much I really appreciate it, seriously.
Yeah, and best of luck to you with the new channel, Rubén.
Thanks, man.
I can't wait to see what your next content is. So looking forward to it.
Great. And thanks to you guys as well. One more time, happy Father's Day to the dads out there. Thank you for especially tuning in on a day like today. I knew it was going to be a smaller audience, and that's okay. And listen, guys, next week, I'm still putting on a show. You'll see info on that in just a few more seconds. I'm still going forward, even though, you know, a ton of collectors are going to be at Heroes this year. So I expect it to be a quiet audience. But I think the conversation is going to be a classic roundtable conversation. And I think it's going to get pretty spirited. And so I think it's going to be pretty exciting. So tune in next week if you guys are not going to Heroes, and if you're going to be around, I'd appreciate it. And for those of you, sorry, go ahead.
I would say anybody that's going to be at Heroes, look Steve and I
that's
up.
right, because Dave's there.
We will be there. If you recognize me,
And,
tap
Steve
me on the
show. You're both going. Wow.
I'm
Yeah.
going there. Yeah.
Okay,
I'm
if you
2
recognize
hours
us-
away from the show.
Right.
Yeah, if you recognize us, tap us on the shoulder.
Yeah.
I'll be carrying this green bag with some art in it. So I think I'm the only one that has one of these. So if you see the bag or you see me, feel free to tap me on the shoulder and we can talk about art, comics, anything.
Yeah, I mean, even though what Dave said before, if you even have just artwork you want to show us, we love looking at Hulk artwork all the time.
If you love the Hulk, we're up to talk.
Yep.
Awesome. All right, guys. I guess I'll see you both a little bit later in a green room.
Yep.
And I'll see you then. And for everybody else, thanks again so much. It's been so much fun. Thanks for tuning in both weeks. For those of you who tuned in both times, I really appreciate you guys. Especially the regulars. Yeah. So yeah, Marcus. It'll be Sunday. Show'll be over. Really appreciate you guys sticking by me all this time, especially, you know, when you know that it goes longer than we really wanted to. So thanks again, Chuck. I'll talk to you later. I'll wait for your email. And that's it. Just stick around for a couple of seconds and I'll show you a little preview of what's happening next week. All right. Peace.